Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Christian Albert, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Dal West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Good morning. Can I get a mic check?
They have them.
Hello.
Mike.
Hello.
They have them for your pets, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know. I understand. Tracking device. But they're a little bigger than a grain of salt.
Rice. I may have. I don't even know if I said it wrong, but rice, man, rice.
Rice. I made a mistake. Rice.
Stuff happens, man.
Morning.
Yeah,
John,
there's a conversation
Brian,
we can
10th,
get into.
Neil, sorry to interrupt you, Cuddles. Hey Steve, hey Cuddles.
Morning Nathan, morning everyone.
Hey, morning.
Can I get a mic check?
Good morning.
Hey Neil.
Yeah, Neil. Loud and clear, bro.
Morning.
Sorry to interrupt you guys.
Nah, you're fine, Nathan. We're just not doing very much, actually.
What a fiasco I had
Dylan.
Friday.
Sorry, Neil wants to tell us all about his breakdown. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, because Nathan, I don't understand what happened. I sat there for 6 hours. Every 15 minutes, I tried to turn over, and it would start and just chug and go out. My daughter's 15 minutes away from getting me. I turn the freaking car over, and it starts. I have no idea what happened. So I had them follow me home just in case I broke down again. But I think it was the gas, because I just filled up at a gas station, and when I pulled out and accelerated, it conked out.
Could be. Maybe it doesn't like the high ethanol content of modern gas. That's fairly... Or it's oversaturated the tank with ethanol. I've heard of that happening before. Some guy with a reasonably new Merc, and his car's chucking to a complete standstill, and when he went and got it checked over, they checked the tank, and it was just very, very high ethanol, like 50% ethanol. Well, your modern petrol is supposed to be like, I think it's currently 10% here in the UK. It used to be 5 or thereabouts. But for some reason, it can creep up. I don't know why. And that's obviously not good, unless you've got, flex fuel and all the rest of the things you'd need to run on ethanol, which most cars haven't. But I don't know. It could be dodgy fuel, or could be, your fuel system. It could be dodgy electrical. It could be 101 different things. I think it's time to sell the car and get a different one.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, get a Toyota.
Good morning. Sorry.
Get a Toyota pickup. Get a Tundra. Or something similar. Isn't that what you drive, 10th, the Tundra?
I have, Toyota pickup. Not the Tundra. I got the 6-cylinder.
Tundra's the SUV, right?
I'm trying to remember what from visuals.
It doesn't matter. It's a Toyota. Ideally, one with a big petrol burning V8 because it'll last forever.
Yeah, I got a V6 in mine, and it's going forever.
Or a V6, whatever. Just as long as it's made in Japan, just get something made in Japan.
Yep.
So what's going on with
That's a
this
great
Bob?
idea.
Bob on
Hold on a sec.
24/7 talking about ether.
John's got an objection with perhaps the suggestion that you should buy something made in Japan. Go ahead, John.
Well, no, not necessarily. It's just the idea that the global economy probably wouldn't be best, or our economy wouldn't be best if you just bought something made in Japan.
I'm not saying buy something that's currently made in Japan. I'm talking about something that was made in Japan about 10 or 15 years ago, actually.
Hold on a second. If
acceptable.
they're not going to produce good cars in America, John, I'm not going to be the sucker. Sorry.
Okay, well, you don't understand how the economy works. Then you'll just end up, inflation will cripple you to the point that you won't be able to buy food.
He does understand 6 hours being idle, though.
Correct.
Yeah, there's only so far that'll stretch, John.
Yeah, when you can't buy bread, I guess so.
Well, we have very expensive bread here, I won't lie.
That will never happen to me because the Bible clearly says, I have been young and now old, and I have never seen the righteous forsaken or his seed begging bread.
Well, that's
it
what they
rains
call
on the just and the unjust alike, Neil. It rains on
Yeah.
the just and the unjust alike. So no,
It's not by
can't
accident.
hide behind that one.
It's not by accident. It's called dough.
That's
did
the yeast
decree.
important.
It
Knew I'd
is
get a
written
rise out of you.
that thy Jap crap should be known as the highest quality. Those who will be last shall be seen as first. Remember that in Back to the Future, where he gets back to the 1950s and he shows him the DeLorean and he has a little look around his own work. He's like, no wonder this chip failed. It was made in Japan. Must be garbage. It's like, what are you talking about? Japan's where all the best stuff's made. I was talking about that with my wife the other day. She was like listening to me watch a video about amplifiers, car amplifiers, and this one was like explaining that you're going to pay through the nose for this one. It's got the Korean quality. And my wife was like, Korean quality? Wasn't that the stuff that we used to joke about when we were kids as being complete crap? We're like, yeah, it's a less than developed country that's become very, very developed and now is excelling in terms of its electronics production to the point where people consider a Korean amplifier very, very expensive and high quality, because it is. Like Japan, and like China will be. People currently go, oh, it's made of Chinesium. Yeah, give it 10 years. And, oh, it's made in China. Very good. You know what I mean? That's how it'll be.
Y'all are making fun of American-made stuff right now.
I'm not. I love American-made stuff. Absolutely love it.
Like what? What's good that Americans
Hold on a
make?
second. Wait. Just the cars. There's a lot of good stuff made in America, and I always buy American.
Like
But
what?
they got to do something with the cars.
Like what? What's good that's made in America? What are you saying is so fantastic?
I love all the cars that are made in America.
What
I
is,
love
sorry?
all the American cars. I love all the American cars.
That doesn't mean they're
They
well
always
made.
seem more solid.
More solid?
Yeah.
God, am I in La La Land? What's going on?
Now, I had a Toyota Corolla, and no doubt about it, the engine in it was bulletproof. It was brilliant. But if a kid hit it with a Coke can, it needed it. You nearly need to replace the door. It was like you couldn't bounce a football off it without it getting a dent. You know what I mean? It's like the thing is just going to fold up into an absolute Coke can if you hit something. This is the problem. Whereas the Audi, the German, and the American cars, and the Hyundais, the Korean, I don't know about others, but the Hyundai are strong built. You can feel the weight, you can feel the solidness of the material that's in it. You just know, like if you are heading to be a tank, that's what you want.
Maybe in a Chevy truck 20 years ago.
He's talking about American muscle. I know what Brian's talking about.
I'm talking about cars that can take a hit. That's what I'm talking about. You know, that's the problem with the Japanese cars. They're lovely, a lot of them are good, but they don't take a hit. You know, the Toyotas didn't anyway.
Let me ask you a question. Why don't they make rubberized cars? Like, I've seen some rubber where you just bounce off a car, and then you don't have to fix anything. You
They
have
do.
cars
It's at-
bouncing
Don't
off
heat.
each other all over.
It's at the carnival. It's called bumper cars.
Could
I
you
need the
imagine
whole
how
car.
horrible that would be if
Not
you
very
bounced
strong.
off of another car?
It's not a good material for making cars out of.
Well, I'm just saying if you bounce, like you're in traffic, right? You're going down the interstate at 70 miles an hour and somebody in front of you hits another vehicle at 70 miles an hour, that entire interstate would become like a pinball machine.
I'm not talking about bouncing it bounces 30 feet. I'm talking about making it something other than what they make it with now, where you hit it and everything's totaled.
That's
Come on.
stretching it, Neil.
That's
stretching
supposed to happen.
We're sending people to the
Okay,
moon.
stop.
You can't figure out
Stop.
car manufacturing?
I'm talking to people who have absolutely no idea about car safety whatsoever, clearly. No, if you are in a crash, you definitely want the car to disintegrate. You don't want the car to stay in one piece at all. Because if the car stays in one piece, your organs don't. You want the car to take the impact and disintegrate, absorbing the impact as it does. So you want to get out of the car, which I've done. I've had a major accident where the car's rolled over, it's been absolutely totaled and looked undescribable afterwards. And I got out without injury. And I got out and then went white, looking back at the car because it was an absolute mess. Couldn't recognise it anymore. Some old crap rental I had while my car was in for repair, so I didn't care. But I looked back at it and went, oh my God, how have I got out of it? I had to crawl out the window to get out because I couldn't get the door open. But the car was mangled and I wasn't. So you want the car to disintegrate. You don't want it to hit something and go, oh, look, the car looks in really good condition. The guy's dead, driving it.
Now, wait a second. That don't make any sense.
Yes, it
If there's
does.
no damage to the car, how are you going to die?
You want the
Was
car
something
to
gonna fly through
absorb
you,
the
kill you?
impact. I'm trying to explain to you. You want the car to absorb the impact, to dissipate the energy. If you're travelling at 70 miles an hour to a wall, you want the car to crumple and slow down the dissipation of that energy, so it doesn't go into you, so you don't just go forward at 70 miles an hour the moment you stop because you've hit a wall. You want the car to take some of that energy away by crumpling. That's why they have crumple zones. And yeah, the front end of a car's often completely mangled when you go into a lamppost, and as it should be.
That's obvious. John, what's happening with the scaredy cat? He wants to change the rules of the debate.
Well, he can do that if he wants to. I mean, like I said, I'll give any concession he wants. I don't know what he's doing.
Well, I've been reading some of the stuff on it, but I guess he's starting the show now. We'll talk about it later.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Refracted Curvature, Neil, 10th Man, Brian's Logic, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
America, America, America.
Hello.
Good morning,
Morning.
Hey,
everybody.
good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you all. So we're hearing murmurings in the pre-show of discussions that are still taking place a good solid 2.5 weeks later after the original idea was postulated, of John debating Ruhif in regards to the geometric use of a physical sphere edge horizon that we can't see for dip corrections and elevation angle measurements that are required to be done on a flat plane. There's still some discussions going on about what needs to be conceded prior to the debate, which makes no sense to me because that's what I thought the debate would be. But there we go. I just thought I'd get an update and preempt that update with the audience so they know what we're talking about in case the guys just launch straight into it, which they may well do now that I've preempted it all. So, John, what's the score?
I'm still waiting on him to make an official time and everything. I don't know. I'm passive one arguing about. I'm not going to debate somebody whether they're going to debate me or not.
That's what it always seems to be, though. Every time you tell me about this, it's you telling me that they're debating how they're going to debate you, why they're going to debate you, or why they're not going to debate you, or what the circumstances and concessions are going to be, when you've already disclaimed up front that you have whatever you want, right?
Yeah. I've already said I'll concede to anything that they want. Just set it up and tell me when.
Well, there is no debate to begin with because all you have to do is say, where do you get your angles from? Where does it originate from? It doesn't originate from the surface of a presupposed sphere. The Nautical Almanac says it originates from a plane. They've reified a sphere by a projection. So they're dead from this. I mean, this argument is so over once you study celestial navigation because you realize you can only get an angle a certain way. You can never, ever, ever, ever get an angle measurement, elevation angle, from a curved baseline.
Well, I suppose that's worth asking the question. I know you just declared it as a statement, but is there any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
No, even geometrically, they need to use a tangent plane. It's they don't have anything. They never will, and that's it.
What about evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve? I'll take that as a no. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius, for begging the question purposes of a sphere Earth?
Well, there goes the Earth curve, because if you had an R value, you'd have Earth curve. If you have Earth curve, you'd have an R value.
No, the R value is back calculated from flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris, as I've shown the maths for on this show.
Of course.
I think twice. I've shown them once and I described them a second time. That's how it all. That's where the 3959 comes from. You know, it comes directly from that, because in their model, and I'll expand on this in a different question, housekeeping question. In their model, perspective and angles cannot exist, because angles are a measurement. In reality, when you're measuring something with an angle, you're measuring perspective. You're not measuring something orthographically. So in reality, we're always measuring something with angles. We're measuring perspective. So if perspective can't exist and doesn't exist on a globe, because the globe has to take perspective from perspective frontal, perspective front on, perspective view, and put it into orthographic view, and then hijack that perspective mathematically to create a way for Polaris to drop and rise by an observer moving backward down over a curve and back up over a curve. That's a hijacking of that perspective. So perspective cannot and does not exist on the globe. And angles measure perspective. So angles can't exist on the globe. There'd be no reason for them. There is no perspective. So
hence the problem they're currently having.
Value comes from.
Yeah, well, hence that's the problem they're currently having. They don't have any utilization of these angles that they're going to be doing if they're using celestial navigation. That's what it's based on. So they've got no way to deviate away from the flat Earth that's required to do this. Also,
Nathan, I've got
just one more thing. Just one more thing. Their only response so far has been to claim that when they're doing celestial navigation, there is a process involved with the method that measures angles from a flat plane that corrects from a geometric horizon. That is their assertion in their mathematics. Obviously, they don't have one. It's been retracted for the last 2 years, according to them. Nevertheless, their attempts to conjure a geometric horizon to correct from were addressed in Hoymar's attempt to claim that very exact point. So those 2 points were taken apart specifically by Adam Meakin. I interjected a little bit, but mostly Adam Meakin and Quantum Eraser. And I just want to plug those 2 videos. One is going to be published by me to the members after this show finishes. It's just uploading now. I've trimmed a very small short out, which you can see if you're not a member, if you're a general member of the audience, which is a short video. So that is out now, and that is called NASA Shill Earth Curve Debunked by QE, #shorts. So that's a less than a minute video, and it's part of a shorts playlist. But that covers their attempts to conjure this now debunked bent line into a straight line again. It summarises it up with a lot of laughter in about 60 seconds. But the preamble to that short and the aftermath of that short are published and about to be published to members, and I'll probably release them over the weekend rather than repeating one of the shows that's come out on the second channel. Gives me a chance to plug my second channel for the how many people are watching, 70 odd people that are watching. Please share the show, by the way. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, so by the weekend I'll publish those 2 videos probably at the regular time this time, but on Saturday and Sunday they'll come out to the public, and they are called NASA Shill Earth Curve. No, that's the shorts. Sorry, let me just change the screen. RIP DIP, or RIP DIP, or RIP DIP is going to be the one that's coming out to members shortly, and the other one, which has already been published to members, is called Meakin versus NASA Shill. The actual title of the video is Dip Angle Geometry, Adam Meakin versus NASA Shill. So that's out now and will come out over the weekend. But I just wanted to cover this because this is the very specific piece of armour, or attempted piece of armour, that Ruhi thinks he's got against John. This dip correction to a geometric horizon. But it's been covered now. It's nicely succinct down to less than 60 seconds in a shorts video. But also, there's a fair bit that goes along with that. So last time I published a small section, which was 10th Man versus Hoymar. I published a shorts first, and Hoymar was all over it like flies on the proverbial, going, that's taken out of context. It's got a section, and it's like, yeah, it's a shorts video. I've got to condense it down to 60 seconds, mate. Yeah, I'm going to put the full unchunked out video out shortly. Don't get in a twist that I've misrepresented you. I haven't, I assure you. You still need a flat plane to do this. Anyway, I'm sure we'll get the same moans from Hoymar, aka NASA Shill, when Dip Angle Geometry, Adam Meakin versus NASA Shill, and RIP Dip come out to the public this weekend and to members. Like I say, you can actually watch the full thing, so they're all taken from the same fairly extensive video, which is Flat Earth Debate 1683. I've misnumbered it in the shorts. Oh well. But the actual video they've come from is FED 1683, which is got a strap line or undertitle, The B and C. Strong language, because it has. Some of that made it across to these clips, by the way, so beware, there's a couple of swear words in there. It's not terrible, but there's a few. Anyway, that's my plug over. Brian, I know that you've been preempted for something we're going to discuss in a minute, but you said that you wanted to move on to the perspective question, so I'm going to assume you want me to ask what the distance to the sun is, or any evidence of the distance to the sun. Or am I wrong in my guess?
No. Yeah, no. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect you to have to do it there and then. I was going to just step in, whatever. But I appreciate it.
No, I wanna
Yeah,
show
Trent,
the
you want to say
slides and map.
Go on.
I'm
Go on,
trying to
Ted.
get into. I'm trying to bolster up Brian's point here before we move on to that. If you go to Master B and look at some of the slides I put up, just let me know when you're on there.
Got a new method for doing this, which I'll get into after housekeeping if we're still live, so be it. Not normally talking about technical stuff, but just an interesting technical foible with Skype and G+ running, which I didn't realise. Is it the equator with a 90 and a circle, and is that the starting slide?
The one with the guy with the yellow
Okay, I've
circle
got him.
labeled horizon.
Yeah, got.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. So this one doesn't come too well because that's a black line on the meridian where the star is, or what they call a meridian. But you can see they're not using a curved surface to get an angle. So what is this? Why do you keep showing this image? Go to the next slide. And then you see this one, altitude of Polaris. It's not using the curved surface to get the altitude. It's going to that diameter, the hemisphere, the Earth cut in two, and saying we need this flat plane to get our 90. And so here you got a 90 to Polaris, but not from the surface of a sphere, which is what they say we live on and the sextant is being used from. Go to the next slide. And then you figure out, okay, well, angles could only happen this way. You need a baseline elevation angle. And you could see the sun is over somewhere on this plane. Now, what is this plane? And where in the sun, if it's directly over there, that's the GP of the sun, the zenith of the sun versus the zenith of the observer, as you can see, is 90. Next slide. What is it? 90 is 5,400 nautical miles. Elevation angle to Polaris from where? A flat plane, a globe cut in half, can't use a curved surface, have to use a circle, a disc, a flat plane. So the elevation angle and 5,400 nautical miles came from a flat plane, and they're showing you right here, it came from the equator or equatorial plane. And 1 degree equals 60 minutes, 60 nautical miles, as Brian said. And the next slide, here it is. What is that flat plane? What is that equatorial plane? It's the Earth. They projected up to the celestial sphere and projected back from the celestial sphere to the arc of the protractor. John did this in his kitchen. They lose from the very beginning because their angles are not originating from the surface of a curved Earth. It's always originating from a flat disk. So they lose already. That's it. There's no more. There's really no debate anymore.
Nathan, if you could just go back to the altitude of Polaris slide, and I'm going to ask the audience a question.
The housekeeping question is any evidence of the distance to the sun?
I'm getting to that next. Don't worry. This is part of it.
Okay.
3 AU.
No, Arwin. Just hold off for your jokes till... Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Okay, yeah. The altitude of Polaris, right? Besides the fact that it's showing angles, right, which can't be had, right, on a curved surface. This is showing that Polaris stays in the one position and the person moves their position and Polaris changes its apparent position, right? But this is showing that the reason it's happening is because of a curved surface, right? So it's not perspective. Polaris, is always straight up from the North Pole, let's just say, on the globe out here. And as the person moves back down over the curve of the globe out to the equator, or back up from the equator to the North Pole, then Polaris will change its apparent position, right? So that is not because of perspective, that is because of Earth curvature. So the question is this, for all of the audience to ask, for people who are ballers to listen to this, and for people who are flat earthers to ask this question. Is Polaris rising and dropping in the sky, right, due to Earth curvature or perspective? If they say Earth curvature, that means perspective can't exist and doesn't exist. Because it can't exist on a globe because if Earth curvature is causing the apparent rise and fall of Polaris, it's because of the movement of a person down and up over the curve of a globe Earth. So it's not perspective. This is orthographic hijacking of perspective. So if they say it's our curve, it means perspective cannot exist. And that brings us to the sun question. Any evidence of the distance to the sun? I'm feeding back, someone's opening their mic there as I speak. Okay, the distance to the sun. Someone keeps doing that every time. There's some baller in Discord that's doing that every time I speak. The distance to the sun. The sun's distance on a globe Earth is back calculated from its angular size. It has a 0.5 something basic angular size, right, which is an average angular size throughout the year. Because the sun, from an observer's position, will supposedly seem to appear to change its angular size, get slightly bigger or slightly smaller, depending on its distance from the person or its position in the sky at the time. Now, that's an angular size change. So if you back calculate the average of that angular size change, you end up with a size and distance that you want it to be. Well, you end up with the size and distance that you want it to be. And it can be whatever size and distance you need it to be. Because you can decide it's a certain distance and then give it that size to fit the angular size. You can decide it's a certain size and give it that distance to fit the angular size. So it's all about fitting the angular size of the sun, right? So when we measure the angular size of the sun, we can then determine we can then back calculate if we want that it's a certain size and a certain distance from us based on that angular size. But this is the problem. How can the sun have an angular size when there is no such thing as perspective or angles that measure perspective on a globe Earth? It can't. The sun can never have an angular size. It must always be its actual size. It can never have an angular size at a distance because perspective does not exist on a globe. Angles don't exist on a globe. Perspective doesn't exist on a globe. Angles measure perspective. So if we're measuring an angular size to the sun, it can't be a globe because globe mathematics dictate.
I just want to flesh out what you said by slightly paraphrasing it, just for people who say this or parrot it. Let's say somebody just heard it off the cuff and then parroted it, and they're like, "Yeah, you can still make angle measurements of the sun or Polaris on a globe. Yeah, it still drops 1 degree." And then what they'll show you is, as Brian did detail, an orthographic representation of the Earth as the compass, with the centre point being twisted. So you're twisting around the centre point of Earth as a compass with a protractor, with you stood on the top of the protractor. So if you're at the top of the ball Earth that they're assuming, then a 1 degree change, as Brian has asked in his question, very carefully phrased, by the way, well done, Brian. If that's an effect that's based on the turn of the Earth, then you're twisting the protractor to determine that angle change from the centre of Earth. Well, that in and of itself is just a use of the celestial sphere model, because that's an angle out to what you're claiming is the surface, but it's actually the top of the protractor that's being twisted. Now, how do you actually measure the drop of the Polaris or the sun towards the horizon? Well, you do it with an angle measurement. That's a baseline and an angle to the item you're measuring. It's 2 straight lines done with a flat Earth. That's how it's actually measured. Not measured, then moved to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth so you can be stood on the top of a protractor as you twist the protractor rather than measure an angle to something you can see. So there you go. That's a fact. Brian's asking how you can have perspective on a globe Earth. You can't. Everything that you look at has no perspective included in it. It's going to be the same feet and inches value or meters value at any distance, always, because that's how the globe Earth has hijacked perspective and called the world that you represent in terms of a perspective view a curved Earth, with a curved Earth horizon at the limitation of your view. So perspective doesn't exist on a globe. Brian's right. That's why the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator got its name. It's hijacked perspective and called it Earth curve.
Can I just say, Nathan, just something?
Go on. You got one more point. Go ahead, Brian.
Just something you said there, that the turn of the Earth, you got something slight. You just mixed up the sun and Polaris. Polaris dropping and rising in the sky on the globe Earth is about the person's movements. The rotation of the globe Earth won't change that. That has no effect on Polaris rising and dropping. It's only the person moving towards the equator or back up towards the North Pole. It's only the sun. Obviously, you are mixing it up with the sun because you're talking about the sun as well.
No, I understand. I understand my mistake. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, thank you for clarifying for the audience. Any other? Go on.
Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah. This is the thing. If they are claiming that perspective works on a globe Earth, then they have to be able to take perspective measurements, which would be angular measurements. But at that point, they were already conceding that it can't be a globe, because they have to take those perspective measurements, which are angular measurements, which only work on a flat plane, and then turn them orthographically into what we see on the altitude of Polaris diagram, and turn it into a completely different scenario. How can you have an angular measurement of perspective and also not a perspective and angular measurements not exist? It has to be one or the other.
Luke 10:19 says, "What you are seeing here is a mirage." Thank you for the super chat.
My friends. I think we've been repeating the rhetoric too long that we're confusing ourselves. You can have angular measurements regardless of where you are in free space and regardless of what objects are around you. What you can't have is elevation angle measurements from those objects. Those are two different things.
Spot on, and we should be clarifying that, because what we are specifically detailing is an elevation angle. Angles are just angles. I can hold my two arms out, assuming that they're both straight lines, and go, there's an angle. Right? So what? No flat earth required for me to do that. I can take a piece of paper and draw two straight lines on it and then go, there you go, angle, obviously with them meeting at a vertex. But that's nothing to do with flat earth.
Fair point. Fair point. We've all been around long enough to know what we're talking about. But people that are just getting into it, they come in, they start hearing these things, they could be confused heavily and be easily befuddled after the fact by somebody reaping the rewards of that confusion.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you've given clarity to it, because we forget. We know what context we're giving it. We know we're talking about celestial navigation, measuring a flat baseline, two lines that are meeting at a point that you're measuring of interest in the sky, a celestial object to triangulate your position. That's an elevation angle. We all know that, but we're not clarifying it because we're here doing it daily. So no, I'll never criticise that. Thank you. Good job, because exactly those minor omissions, if you want to call them that, are the thing that they prey on. Their opponents will prey on it, and if somebody doesn't know the full extent of the argument and they start saying you can only get an angle on a flat earth, no you can't, what are you talking about? So yeah, good point.
I have to disagree. I don't know, maybe I'm picking this up wrong, but as you walk away from the chair in your kitchen and it changes in angular size, that can't happen on a globe. All globe mathematics are based on orthographic or curvature.
No, that's true too.
There is no.
Yeah, but you've had to give it a fair bit of context. You're right. If you contextualise you moving away from the chair, and the chair, let's say you've got a what's it called? Like those glass conservatory. You've got a conservatory with chair, and you can see it as you walk away from it for miles and miles and miles. And Brian says, well, you put that observation of the chair eventually disappearing as you get further and further away from it into the Earth curve maths. Well, there's only one reason the chair can't be seen anymore as you back away from it. Let's say it's a beach hut, and you've got a very long flat beach to back away from it on. Well, according to them, the chair's gone from view because the Earth curve got in the way. That's the only reason. Well, when you say, how do you qualify that in your Earth curve maths? Well, here's you at, I don't know, half a mile distance. And here's the chair, and the chair's 2.5 feet tall. Here's you at a mile away, and the chair, which is still 2.5 feet tall, has vanished. It's like, well, hold on, 2.5 feet doesn't account for its reduction in angular size, but that's the only maths that can function through the curve maths. The target stays the same size. It's always 2.5 feet in actual size. But we don't see in actual size, we see in apparent size. That's angular size, aka we have a perspective view. But to remove that from the maths, you just keep the target the same value, because it's always 2.5 feet, isn't it? At any distance. So a chair that we're looking at from 2.5 million miles away, well, we should see that. It's still 2.5 feet. I can still depict that with me on the left-hand side of a page, the chair on the right, a line between the two of us, and 2.5 million miles written on the line. Well, why can't I see it? Well, if we were in free space, according to the Globers, you could. because you can see forever on a globe. Nothing ever stops you from seeing anything ever except Earth curve. That's the only thing that stops you. Right, Brian?
Yeah.
So his point's right, but we still have to be careful about how we phrase it in terms of just a carte blanche, overarching statement about acquisition of angles. He's still absolutely right. So are you, Brian. I'm not saying you're wrong either. Mike808, thank you for just giving me money. Really appreciate the support.
No, sorry. I don't think it's been understood. Angles are measurements of perspective. Perspective does not exist, so angles cannot exist on a globe Earth. Besides the fact that I'm not just talking about elevator.
There's a fallacy in there somewhere, Brian.
All angles. When you're measuring something in reality, you're not looking at it orthographically. You're looking at it in frontal perspective view. So all angles cannot exist because angular size change cannot exist. No visual effect can exist. It's all Earth curvature.
In the globe model.
Right.
In the globe model. When
model.
modelling globes.
Not in reality.
Yeah, that's his point, though. He is making his point more strictly to do with the globe model. So he's making himself more right, but it doesn't make you less wrong when you corrected the fact that we shouldn't just say angles prove a flat Earth. And when Brian says, well, no, they do, because anything to do with a globe Earth assertion, if he caveats his statement with that, would require an angle, and that angle isn't something that you have in a globe Earth model. You can't have an angle.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Right? If the globe wasn't... no, wait, how do I say this? If the globe was actually the reality, then the globe model wouldn't be based off a flat Earth. It would be based off a globe. Entirely different. Everything, all the actions, all the math would have been different in origin. But it's all based off a flat plane, right?
Well, you're right, because that's why I showed those pictures. It is all based on a flat disk. They're getting their angles from a flat plane. It's never coming off a curved surface, as Brian says.
Let me just clarify a bit more mathematically, 10th. So in the curve maths, you've got your target on the left-hand side of the page. You've got your Dingleberry globe Earth beneath. And then you've got your observer on the left, right? So observer on the left, target on the right, line between target and observer. One line between target and observer. And that one line that's straight in their maths, the one that they bent in 2020, yeah, that's a different point. Black swan, baby. But that straight line that meets a tangent point, that's Earth curve, formerly the geometric Earth curve horizon we debunked in 2020. Again, the same point, but we'll come back to that. Yeah, that's a single line between target and observer. Brian, can you acquire or achieve or describe anything angular with a single line between target and observer? Is it possible to describe anything angular with a single line as per the curve maths?
You need two lines.
No. I'll ask the question again. In the curve maths, there's only one line between target and observer. A single line, one line between you and the thing you're looking at. So can that single line give you anything to do with angles or angular size or angular measurements or perspective when it's a single line?
No.
So Brian is 100% accurate when he says the globe Earth doesn't have any perspective. It's got a single line between target and observer. In reality, you've got two lines if you want to depict it in that manner. And those two lines become closer together as things get further away. The globe doesn't account for that and can't, because it's hijacked it and called it Earth curve with a single line between target and observer. Something won't give you angles. Any evidence?
Are you talking about the line to the geometric?
Yes, the tangent line to the geometric horizon. Yes, that's a single line.
Well, the reason they assert that is because they take a 90 from their vertical and then their height above level. Which is
that's correct.
Nonsensical. Right.
Yeah, that's
so
correct.
They do have two lines.
I'm sorry I'm interrupting you and you've probably got a better point to make, but I never noticed that in the curve maths, right? It is there. I went back and had a look after you pointed this out about a month ago, and there's a dotted line describing the ground level that moves away in a horizontal form from the position perpendicular to the line of sight that's coming down from an angle, if you want to describe it in terms of the angle of that straight line to the tangent. Now, there isn't an angle for the angular relationship between target and observer, but there is a dotted line that's talking about ground level that floats out in space in their maths. You check it out. Sorry to hijack your point. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, that was my point. It was.
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry,
That
I
was my
completely
point.
stole your thunder. I am so sorry.
No, that was his point, but it's not the horizon.
But he
It's
didn't
a
get to make it.
horizontal.
Sorry, John. Go ahead, Tenth.
That's not the horizon. That's a horizontal. It's sextant at sea, the mariner sextant, when you use the horizon, that's different than what a bubble gives you at your eye line, which is parallel to the Earth's horizon when you do dip correction, where your eyes are on the sea surface. They all must match. The equatorial plane, where the Earth is cut in half and all their angles come from there, which is a joke. Okay, that's really the Earth's surface. They just moved it at the middle of a sphere. The bubble sextant creates a horizontal to your eye line as a reference line to match that equatorial plane. So it's a true horizon, they call it. No, true horizontal maybe, because you need a perpendicular relationship with your zenith. But then when you shoot the actual horizon on the Earth with a sextant, that cannot be different than what those two do. They have to be a 90. The Earth's surface has to have that baseline, and your zenith is perpendicular, making it a 90. That's why you minus the altitude, the elevation angle from 90. I don't know how many times we got to go through this.
Well, that's the point that they're trying to interject the sphere, right? Is the dip angle correction or height of eye correction, as it were. But if you ever look at the model they create as a reification of a reification, they have ground level as a little dotted line that's parallel to your line of sight, 90 from your zenith.
You all catch that? I'm glad you repeated it and reiterated it. It's an important point. Your point that I stole.
Say it again, John.
Well, they're pretty much conceding that the ground's flat in the Earth curve mass. I guess it's the only way to say it. I don't know. It gets to be crazy when you actually think about it.
I'll just repeat it a bit more concisely. So in the curve maths, go to Metabunk Curve Calculator and look at what they've got drawn. So you've got U at a various height, and you can adjust it in the diagram, right? Well, coming off that point where you're standing, there's a line that's dotted going out into space called ground level. A flat baseline.
It's the same, Nathan, in Metabunk and all the rest of them do exactly the same as what the likes of the Davis sextant manual does. Whereas they show reality, which is a straight line out from underneath the boat or the feet of the person, and then they attach that to a globe, circle. Well, if it's going to be a circle, because in geometry it can only be a circle. They attach that as a tangent plane to a circle.
Yeah,
and
I
yeah.
just want to, just before you carry on, we've already labelled this. We just never spotted that the curve maths was one. Can anybody tell me what we labelled it? It's got quite an amusing name.
Dingleberry.
Yeah, it's a dingleberry Earth dangling below in the curve maths. It's absolutely a dingleberry. The globe Earth is redundant to the actual functionality to acquire the maths to do that functionality, which is the flat plane that is depicted in the curve maths. It's there on the diagram called ground level. Is it labelled ground level? I've forgotten. It'll come up on my slideshow eventually, and I'll pause it when it does. But it's a dotted line describing the requirement for a flat plane. I'd just never noticed it. Now, obviously, with us describing tangent planes and dingleberry Earth dangling below them, you then go back to the curve maths. It was John that originally pointed this out. I went and had a look, and I was like, oh my God, the whole curve maths is just dingleberry Earth. It's got it there. There's the flat Earth. It's right there. Why do we never see it? Why did we never spot it? It's just hiding in plain sight, right there in the curve maths.
Yeah, it's Metabunk did a nice job. Mick West did a nice job in making a nice little faint dotted line and putting the name of it out beyond where you're normally looking. Most people look at that and they're looking at the curve part. They want to see how much curve there is. They're not looking at the reality, which is the dotted line. Which is why when the Black Swan turned up, Mick West disappeared. Because he knew what he was at. The same way as celestial navigation have known for God knows how long that the horizon is not a geometric location, that we don't ever measure to a geometric location.
Okay, this is 10th man's diagram that I'm going to stick up if I can get my Skype back up. Okay, so this is what, when we've been recently describing Dingleberry Earth and the correction from a geometric horizon and the altitude angle to the sun and the parallel planes that you've got with this describing it as actual horizon, parallel to actual horizon, height of eye, and then Dingleberry Earth below, right? Well, that's curve maths. In a minute, like I say, the slide hasn't come up yet, but when it does, the slide for Mick West's curve maths is exactly the same. It's the same exact thing. Because why? Well, because the geometric horizon is the geometric Earth curve horizon, regardless of where it appears or in what maths. The fact that it's referenced in celestial navigation is the same R value in the same same geometric point that they claim is Earth curve. It's the same. So of course it's got a Dingleberry. Of course it's got a tangent plane. Of course it needs a flat Earth. It's got to be there. That's how the maths works. That's what we're pointing out at the moment. We just never put two and two together and go back to the Metabunk curve calculator or Earth curve maths, full stop, and gone, there it is. There's your flat Earth. It's even labelled.
In recent times, I've called Ruhif Glenn Iceberg Williamson. The reason I called him Iceberg is because he decided to stay on the Titanic instead of getting onto the other ship, even though he could see the iceberg coming. Whereas Mick West got onto that other ship. You know, let's just say there was another ship there to take all the people off the Titanic so the Titanic won't hit the iceberg, or the ship won't hit the iceberg. But some people decided to stay there. And that's why I've been calling Ruhif Glenn Iceberg Williamson. Because he decided to stay on the ship even though he can see the iceberg coming. Whereas Mick West knew there was an iceberg before the other ship even turned up. And when it did, he jumped off. Go on, Ted.
Maybe he was a member of the band.
Maybe. Played till they sank, according to the movie. Well, load of nonsense. Anyway, the idea that we're under Ruhif's skin is perfectly understandable and acceptable. The guy's been on the show. He's had plenty of encounters with us, so, you know, it's understandable. We're not going to knock Roofy for us being under his skin like we would be under the troll's skin or anybody else's skin. Whereas with Wolfie 6020, I sent Brian a message that I got via my Patreon. So it's one of the messages that I will look at. And I think in order to be able to message me personally, Wolfie 6020 gave me money after I humiliated him with his stupid assertion that you can correct from an observation that's only observable if you turn him beneath things. And he's got back in touch with me to say, how's it going? I'll actually read it. Just give me a couple of seconds, I'll read it out. I sent it to Brian in a shorthand form so it was easy to read on my screen. Are you there, Brian? You did respond.
Yeah,
maybe read your response
good.
after I read it. I'll just read what he sent to me this morning. This is what I woke up to. So how did getting me sacked work out for you? ? I got 20% pay rise. What is 20% on 400,000? Sucks to be you, mate. Slaving away at your channel for peanuts. Wake up, dopey. You will never give your family a good life as a flat earther. How many hours of your life do you waste on YouTube for peanuts? End of message. All right, Wolfie. I wasn't giving you much.
Bastard.
I wasn't giving you much of a thought, to be honest. But it's nice to know that you're thinking about me when you get a pay rise. You know, most people would be celebrating and really pleased. You want to contact me and tell me about it. There's always going to be someone earning more money than me. Back when I was a rep earning good money, I dealt with royalty and celebrities that definitely earned considerably more than I did, even though I had a very nice car and a lot of money coming into the bank each month. Now, why am I a flat earther earning peanuts? Well, I am sustaining a family with flat earth. Not because of YouTube, but because of the support I get, as you're asking and I'm reacting to it, on a live show for your benefit, Wolfie, as you're obviously a fan and you keep watching. But I hadn't given you much thought. As for my over-dramatic saying that you should be fired, that's my way of making a point. I hadn't actually given much thought to going out and actually finding out who you were. I did disclaim that literally about 5 minutes after I made the over-dramatic statement that you should be sacked for not understanding that you can't correct for illusions in aeroplanes, you stupid idiot. Yeah, but you're not responding to me about that. You're responding to me about how much money you've got. Yeah, that won't work on me at all. I'm very happy in terms of my choosing to be poor, which I am, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I can support my family from flat earth work, mainly because I've got exceptionally good supporters, exceptionally good Patreons, and like today, people smash the super chat to keep my, whatever you want to call this, afloat. So I'm not moaning. Yeah, I'm poor, but I've chosen to be poor, to spend lots of time with my children and do what I love. But I don't wake up when I get an extra amount of money, which I have had. People have given me chunks of money, like you're describing, whilst in flat earth. Now, when I get those chunks of money, which you know, I'm not saying that's an often thing, I don't think, I'm going to contact Ruhif, or I'm going to contact Wolfie, or I'm going to contact Cats and tell them about how I've just got a big chunk of money out being a flat earther. No, you never even crossed my mind, Wolfie. Yeah? But I'm absolutely living rent-free in your mind and a consideration when you get a substantial pay rise. You know, that tells me, yeah, the money's not enough, is it? Because you want it to do more. You want it to make me feel bad about being poor. No, my response is that's not going to correct for drift that you're not experiencing in an aeroplane and only observable if we're turning beneath the plane, you stupid muppet. Yeah, being poor I can deal with. I've got good support. But thank you for letting me know how much I live rent-free in your head, Wolfie. I really appreciate it. It did make me smile. Brian, over to you if you've got any comments.
Wait, I got to respond to that.
Oh, you can have to, Arwin.
Yeah, he did the same to me. He had to start asking me, Nathan. He wanted me to send him videos on a weekly basis of all the girls I meet up with on the weekends, all the pretty or good-looking girls that I'm with at the weekends and out partying with at the weekends, because he has a brilliant life and he has a nice partner and he has a child and he has big career and all this sort of stuff, and that, like, as a flat earther, I'm obviously a sad loser as far as he's concerned. And he wanted me to give him my personal details and video me going around on a weekend partying or whatever. And this is what he wanted. And, like, my point to him was, like, for a start, why would I show you any of my personal life? For a start, number one. Number two is, let's just say I'm not doing any of those things. Let's just say I live in a basement. Does that make the earth a globe? No. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm homeless. Facts are facts. If the earth is a globe, then it's easily provable, you know. But if it's not, that's also easily provable, and we've proven it. So
he's too busy asking you about your personal life.
Just one sec, Chocolate. Go ahead, Arwin.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think, like, when I read that really pissed me off. And to hear your response to it, I'm, like, astounded. Like, yeah, I hadn't even thought of it like that. Yeah, he got all that money and he's just trying to jab you, trying to make you jealous. How incredibly petty. And besides, you know somebody that's poorer than you. So it's not all that bad, you know?
You're talking about you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's plenty of people poorer and richer than everybody always, unless you're the Sultan of Brunei, who may not be the richest anymore, for all I know. Probably probably a great example if he's not. But either way, my point is that, so what? Does that mean that the point about actually correcting for illusions that don't happen on your plane will change? No, it won't. You know, I've got you by the short and curlies, I'm afraid, Wolfie, and you've got nothing to come back at me with other than, I've got more money. You know who also did that? Prof. Phil Bell. Literally the Mercedes-Benz defence. That's what we got from Wolfie and Prof. Phil when they get annihilated. I've got more money than you. All right, that's really nice. Yeah, so a lot of people. So what? That's fascinating. Hillside, thank you very much for the super chat. perfect timing. I really appreciate the support. Good job. Just one sec, Alwyn, and we'll get to chocolate in a sec. Hillside, thank you for the super chat. Enjoying the content here lately. Keep it up, guys. I am too. Less fundies is definitely better. The occasional fundie is good. I've trimmed out some videos. Really appreciate the support, Hillside. Alwyn, if you've got anything to round out within chocolate, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know what I was gonna say anymore. You're on a roll. Just keep it going.
I'm not, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But go on, chocolate.
I wasn't going to add much more than, first off, good morning, fellas.
Morning.
And everybody. And what a loser move that is for this guy to be asking Brian about his personal life, and he wants to hit Nathan up about his personal life and how much money he makes. Meanwhile, he thinks he's making corrections and adjusting for an observation taken from the ground. like a lot of the pilots that I met when I was working at the airport, this guy sounds like a loser. That's terrible.
Brian wrote
and he
summary
sounds
out.
like he's in pain, like Nathan said.
Yes, he is.
Right? Like, why else would you do that? That means that all that money apparently is like a drop in the bucket or on a hot plate for him in the face of how he feels about the situation with Nathan. That he's pushing it that much. Apparently, it doesn't really help him all that much. That's what it says to me.
Exactly. So it didn't alleviate your pain, right? Didn't make you forget about me. I love it. Brian summarised it beautifully with his response when I sent him the text, so I didn't send it to him. I'm sure Brian appreciated why it only went to him specifically. But yeah, yes, Nathan, he has come at me with the same. He's gone from confident and steadfast to toxic and desperate, comparing lifestyles and other nonsense. Yeah, indeed, Brian. Very well summarised.
Yep, thank you, Dave.
I was going to say, if that's the case, if they believe money is truth, the Catholic Church is the richest entity on earth. So they should all be Catholic, right?
Well, they are all Roman Catholic if they're heliocentrist.
Okay. So it fits right into their paradigm.
Well, yeah, their paradigm is a Roman Catholic paradigm. It's come from the Roman Catholic Church. It's derived from the Roman Catholic religion. It is controlled narrative by that religion. The heliocentric religion is an extension of the Roman Catholic Church. Shout out to Unitox. Just one sec. Shout out to Unitox Femo. It's a shame on you taking money from people. I'm not in the slightest bit embarrassed, Unitox Femo. Thank you for your support. I really do appreciate it. And everyone else who gives me money. You know, that's the only reason I can do this, because I certainly don't get the promotion out of YouTube, which I'll come to after housekeeping, along with a couple of other technical things. Mike808 also, thank you very much for the super chat. Lots of support today. Really appreciate it. Good timing as well, given the subject that we're covering currently.
So you're saying that, yeah, it's rooted, right, in Catholicism, or in the Catholic Church, rather, in the power structure of that. Catholic people built the heliocentric model effectively, but is it like officially adopted? Is it an official statement? Could you say that? Would that be accepted? Like, it is a Catholic
Who do you
invention?
think gave them their Big Bang?
No, I get that. I get that.
Let's rattle them off. Hold on. Darwin, don't rumpus this. Don't rumpus this. Just let chocolate. Let's rattle them off amongst ourselves. You included, Darwin, right? So you say, can they accept that? You started us off nicely, Chocolate. Do you want to just repeat what you asked, and then someone can answer him? Maybe me, if nobody else.
So who do you think gave them their so-called Big Bang theory?
Anyone?
Who was that?
Who gave us the Big Bang?
Lemaitre.
Lemaitre.
Georges Lemaitre.
Lemaitre.
A Jesuit astronomer. Georges Lemaitre.
A Jesuit?
Right.
Yeah, Jesuit astronomer.
But they were the participants in the building of it, see?
Yeah,
but
okay. What about gravity? Okay,
is...
Alwyn, I said don't rumpus this. Let's keep it concise. Right. What about gravity? The mass attracting mass. Where did that come from?
Reverend John Michel.
Reverend John Michel and Cavendish. Right.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I mean, have we got another one? Anybody else got another one? Be good to have three.
Copernicus.
There we go. Copernicus, brilliant. And what's Copernicus? Everyone knows what Copernicus is in terms of the heliocentric model, but
Pretty sure that he was a part of the Catholic Church or Jesuit.
maybe 10th man will tell us.
Well, he was an astronomer, obviously, and he's decided that instead of what the Bible says, that the sun goes around the earth, he was going to side with some of the Greeks and old fables and say that we revolved around the sun, and took it from geocentrism to heliocentrism.
Was he a priest?
I think later he may have been given that. I'm not sure if he was at the beginning, but he
This
was
is a terrible
definitely
example,
part.
Ed.
Wait, what?
Ah, that's a terrible
Given
example.
that?
10th. You failed me. Right, let me just shout out some super chats. Shout out to Godzilla37. He says, we're exceptionally good supporters now. My wife may not or may not agree. May or may not agree. Thank you for the super chat, Godzilla37. I feel no guilt for your wife in this regard. It's all on you. But I will take it if you're giving it. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Also, Goldie McKinnon. Heck, I might as well throw in a few coins as well. Big love from South Florida. Thank you very much, Goldie McKinnon. An avid supporter in many different ways. Really appreciate the support. Again, timing as Wolfies chucking in my face that I can't support myself. Yeah, I can. As you can see. Not because I get promotion from YouTube or lots of views. Although I'll do all right. It certainly doesn't sustain me. What does is the people who watch. That's what sustains me. And that is worth its weight in gold, Wolfie. That kind of support makes me feel all warm and fuzzy when I go to sleep at night. It doesn't make me think about you or cats or Roofy. Nah, not at all. But you do. That's nice, isn't it? Nice to be thought about.
Can I comment on that?
You can.
I have.
I'd seen that posted this morning. It's very rare I'd want to attack somebody, but what a sad, pathetic individual you must be to construct something like that. And genuinely, dude, I pity you, because you can see what's in that letter is your pain, isn't it? You're clearly not happy at home, even if you're earning all this money. And maybe that's the email that you realise how much money you earn has no bearing. No bearing. You must be a very jealous man of Nathan and the lovely children he's got and the love he shares with them every single day while you're sat in a cockpit all alone.
Reminds me of a saying from The Simpsons, and there's Burns, Monty Burns and Smithers, and they walk up to their vault, and Monty Burns shows Smithers this pile of gold and jewels and money, and Smithers is like, wow, that's a lot of money. And Monty Burns says, Smithers, I'd give it all up for just a little bit more.
On the Copernicus topic, was Copernicus a Catholic priest? Due to his uncle's influence, Copernicus did become a canon in Warmia in northern Poland. Although he never took orders as a priest, he conducted his astronomical research in between his duties as canon, the Encyclopedia Britannica noted. But then, underneath that, did the Catholic Church support Copernicus? The Protestant churches accepted Copernicus's findings after more evidence emerged to support it. The Catholic Church, however, remained grounded in its anti-Copernican beliefs until the 19th century. The ban on Copernicus's views was lifted in 1822, and the ban on his book until 1835. So there was contradictory information.
Well.
He was Catholic, but he didn't support him. Yeah.
Right,
Well,
okay.
not only that, but story goes, he didn't want the book published until after his death. So, there's so many stories around him, Eratosthenes, Al-Biruni.
They're quite some bunch of characters, aren't they? And I think that's precisely what they are in this narrative, just characters. But there we go, that's my personal opinion on the matter.
It's a peanut gallery.
Totally.
Well, look, the history
narrative.
around it was always going to be convoluted because, the Catholic Church is still sort of trying to pretend to be Christian, right? So they have to present Copernicus like we're opposing it when they're obviously the ones that are creating it and trying to worm it in, let time do the rest, right? So the history around him is just very convoluted.
Yeah, absolutely. Very difficult to research.
Yeah, but look at how that.
Go, Neil, go.
He dropped out.
So glad you
Hey,
did a mic check.
Chocolate, if you're part of the peanut gallery, does that make you automatically nuts?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I don't think we should challenge the narrative, because a lot of times in the narrative, like with Eratosthenes, Rooney, they proved a flat Earth first. You know, like, give them the narrative.
Exactly.
But nobody knows that.
Yeah, well, we're letting them know. You know, it's back to that, isn't it? Your need to affirm your confidence
Not
by having
fast
lots of
enough.
other people know it.
Well, what do you think I showed those pictures for? The whole celestial sphere model proves a flat Earth. All their angle measurements come from the equatorial flat disk. Who cares what they projected from afterwards? Where did it originate from? A flat plane.
Right. As we've had lots
Could only.
Lots of love for the chat and the support that I get here. I just want to do a little bit more. It won't take a jiff. No pun for peanuts. So, I noticed yesterday, after publishing one of the shows at a regular time that I normally have a show, which is 9 PM UK, I came to watch it and there was like 5 people watching it. Now, I generally keep it on the iPad in the background. Sometimes I will turn the volume down if I'm doing other things, but generally I monitor my own show. Even if you don't see me in the chat, generally I'm there. So when I look across and see that the number of viewers have just dropped to basically nothing, I start looking at what's going on and I'm being cobbled. There's no other word for it. I'm going to extensive lengths to make the show as good as it possibly can be all the time. So over the weekend I was fiddling around with various different things. And there was something that I found quite amusing, which is to say that I recently upgraded my graphics card with support from the people who support the show. And I thought my graphics card was going wrong. I found some water damage on it, which I thought was the obvious cause of the fault. However, the fault seemed to regenerate after changing the graphics card. And this will come to a point, I promise. And it transpires that when you're watching, so if you're on the audience now and you're looking at the live stream, the reason I can flick off Skype now, or have to flick across Skype, is because if I drag Skype like this, which is what I typically used to do, over the top of Google Meet, that causes the computer to have a shitload of strain on it. Now, I didn't know. I was just researching over the weekend, again, how to get the show running nicer and various things about Skype and G+, and just came across a comment thread that made it explicitly clear that if you're running G+, you don't want to put anything on top of the window because it makes your graphics card suddenly work really hard. Now, who would have known that? So I think my old graphics card was functionally okay, but it just didn't like, or was pushed beyond its limits, simply by putting Skype on top of Google+. You couldn't make this stuff up. But I only found this out over the weekend, having had experienced the same problem to a minor degree that I had to change the graphics card for. Now, admittedly, changing the graphics card meant I could carry on regardless, and the extra horsepower meant I didn't have the problem anymore, which did actually technically solve the problem. But who'd have known that putting Skype on top of Google+ on a windowed screen would overextend your graphics card to the point where it breaks down? But, as I say, thanks to the support of the people around me, even though I didn't know that was the cause, and I was looking and tearing my hair out trying to find out what the hell was going wrong, it was just solved by buying a better graphics card. That is literally the case. And that could have only happened to keep the show running as smooth as it does because of the support I get, because of the love and kindness of the people who appreciate that we are suppressed and cobbled by people like YouTube when it comes to me putting that into a material that can actually go out to an audience. And then when you get there, they're getting it at 240p resolution, the stream's breaking down and stopping. You're like, oh my God! The channel's got, almost 25,000 subscribers now, and I'm not allowed to have a stream that functionally works. And add images of game footage to keep the interest on screen, because it's less boring than the slideshow that runs like now with National Geographic on. Well, that was completely cobbled, so it just looked awful. And you're like, oh my God, they're literally proactively making my stream crap for every member of the audience, to the point where no one can watch it. It's unwatchable. Anyway, the point of me telling you all of this is when the streams like this go out, they seem to, I've got a lot of monitoring going on, obviously I'm doing it, go out quite flawlessly. So there's 121 people watching live, and I can only assume the reason for that is because the show actually functions reasonably nicely live. Hopefully this doesn't need to be being cobbled live. But anyway, and the reason, my main point in all of this explanation, is because the 120 people that are currently here have shared the show, because there's no way that even my own subscribers reach to get deliver the information that the show's on. And if they did, they'd get there and find garbage that they can't watch because the stream, whatever the bit rate that is being allowed for a pre-recorded video, isn't high enough to sustain the audience, and they all just get sick of it and disappear. And I wouldn't blame them for disappearing. Who wants to watch a garbage stream? But that isn't not for the want of bloody trying. I put my life into making these streams as nice as I can possibly make them. So it's absolutely heartbreaking, and makes me rejoice that even being censored, cobbled, whatever the word you want to use, I still sustain my family. I still actually do make a living here. Yeah, it is through people looking at my hand out there and going, yeah, I'll put money in that. And that, in its way, is far more satisfying than, and I tell you this for a fact, even getting a 20% rise on 400k. Because even that, to somebody who's getting that kind of money, what, does it stop them worrying about the fact that they can't prove Earth's turning underneath their aeroplane to correct for it? No, it doesn't take that pain away, does it? That's an immense amount of money, and it didn't solve anything. It didn't get rid of the problem, because he can't buy that. That's not up for sale. Happiness isn't for sale, and money can't buy it. If no one's ever told you that, then let me be the first to tell you. Money doesn't buy you happiness. I've sat in both seats, one with lots and lots of money and absolutely zero time to do anything with your life, and the other, this side, where you've got very limited money, all the time in the world and very little to be able to buy to do with that time, but you've got things that you can occupy your life with that definitely provide happiness. And that's more important. You do still have to keep the lights on, and I'm so grateful, which is, again, the main overriding point in this big, long waffle, that I can keep the lights on because of the support I get. So a big, massive, huge, enormous thank you. Now, while I get ready to actually round out this live show and ask people to stay tuned, can somebody please, for the love of God, add something so I can press a few buttons?
Is there a debate show today?
I think that was a great summary there, to be honest. I think that's kind of the sentiment I was trying to get over as much as this projection from that side. I've been there, you know what I mean? And I'm blessed enough now to be able to have a bit of time. And I wish, to be honest, I had more time when my kids were your kids' age, because that's the real purpose of life. It's not about accumulating cash. It's about enjoying the time you have. And I think,
give me a shot.
Go on, Neil.
Give me a shot, and I'll decide if money gives you happiness. All right? It makes things easier, though. You can't deny that.
The requirement. You do need it. I'm not going to deny it. Anybody else got anything to add?
Wow.
No, I'm saying it
Nathan,
makes things
if
easier.
they'd like, Nathan, they ought to check out our new Discord server. It's called The Obsolete. My channel is Blood Always Finds Its Level. Maybe we could talk about it in the after show, Nathan.
That pillbox.
Well, yeah, Nathan, I got an upgrade. I'm now the XO, so God is too good to me. What's up with you, Nathan?
I'm very good. We'll definitely discuss it in the after show. One last shout out to Hillside. He says, I've learned so much from this panel. I appreciate you guys and the amount of effort you put into finding truth, 100%. Really appreciate your support, Hillside, and everyone else who smashed the super chat during this show. For obvious reasons, it was appropriate, and I'm very glad that I got the support. I didn't specifically ask for it, but I still got it in the face of being accused of not being able to sustain myself doing this. Well, I definitely can, and I'm very grateful that I can. But with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit the super chat, hit the PayPal link, joined as a member, and all that good stuff. Of course, as was with the last super chat, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
day! What a lovely day!
Dun, 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 dun. Hey, Sleeping Murray.
Nathan.
Hello.
Yeah. What's the 0 on the globe model? Where is that placed?
Feedback.
I dare you to make a claim.
0 on the globe.
On the globe, 0 is the equator. There's 90 above in the plus and 90 below in the minus. The equator is 0. When using a sextant on the surface of our plane, where is 0?
Wherever you're standing.
Well, if you're going to use the horizon, it's going to be a right angle, 0 to 90. It's the surface of Earth.
Right.
It's one and the same.
I'll show you the thumbnail I made for that last clip. So QE was pestering me to make the rubber ducky clip, and I didn't have time last week, but I did have time this week, so I made it. Can I show the thumbnail, which I was particularly proud of?
Yeah, that's it.
I'll stick it in Master B and then I'll present it to the audience.
I heard that one, by the way, with Hoymar snatching his own wig off. That was pretty good.
Another 2 more to
I
come
want
out.
to say. Sorry.
Oh, I was done.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I'd say it then. 0 degrees in 0 in reality is mean sea level. That's your 0. That's where all elevations above and below are taken from, not some other location. Mean sea level.
Well, they beg the question of a globe. And so if you're going to beg the question of the globe, you got to put that 0 somewhere where you could pull this thing off somehow. So they take it and cut the globe in half and take the flat surface of the Earth, mean sea level, so to speak, and put it there. And then they just go through the same thing John did with his kitchen and made a flat plane into a globe, or his kitchen into a globe.
I don't know if QE's around to see this. If you are, QE, it's in Master B. Thumbnail.
Yeah, I just saw it. I had a vision of a red one in my mind.
Oh, right.
No, thanks, man. It's really cool.
R.I.P. Dip.
R.I.P. to the D.I.P.
Did you hear the shorts? It's got your laugh after he concedes. Yeah, I'm conjuring a flat plane.
I did not. Did you put it out last night?
Put it out this morning.
Can you play it?
I'll get to it.
I can. I'll get to it now. I'll just play it. You can hear from the audio.
You're attempting to manifest a non-visible horizon from a dip angle correction.
Yeah, because
yeah, Nathan. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm going to use that definable point, apparently, to adjust to a horizontal. That's what dip correction is on a ball, yeah?
Yeah.
That's cooking.
No, I totally agree. That was absolutely right.
You're attempting to manifest a non-visible horizon from a dip angle correction.
Yeah, because
yeah, Nathan. Yeah.
There you go. That's the shorts clip, anyway.
Thank you.
Nah, nothing was better than Adam's laugh right there. That was
QE.
Fantastic.
That was QE.
No, that was me.
Oh, was it?
That was the first one. Was Adam.
That was Adam.
Oh my
You don't know my laugh?
I was about to
guys
litter it
confuse-
with insults and stuff at him, but that was the cleanest response to what he'd actually just. I couldn't believe he'd just confirmed it. I was taking a mick, but for him to actually say, "Yeah, no, that is what we're doing."
But he also conceded to QE, didn't he? Right? You're manifesting a non-visible horizon by way of dip correction. Yeah, I am, because.
Well, yeah.
How else am I going to draw a non-straight line to it?
22 times.
you're
No,
trying to-
23. At that point in the discussion, I told him 23 times that he'd misidentified the correction horizon as being refracted, and he just wouldn't have it. By the time I was so furious with him, when we got to this point, it became laughable. You know, my blood was actually boiling at this point, but because he literally had to then double speak his way around it, and 10th Man was then pointing it out. That video already came out last week, with 10th Man pointing out his double speak and correcting it, with him going, "No, I'm not." There you are.
Didn't the baller say that the only way you could see it was if there was no air?
Yeah, the geometric horizon only exists in the maths. We are not expecting to see the geometric horizon. Nobody's claiming we see the geometric horizon. Those are quotes from ballers.
Right. So then dip correction wouldn't do it. You'd have to just get all the air out before you can do it.
Yeah, they're screwed. That's why I used to say when this argument first came out, what is it, no out mode, eh? What are you telling me? You're measuring to a geometric horizon again? No. No. Refraction. What is it, no out mode, eh?
In the language of the books, it's called offing, Offing, and it's the little circle you make, like from a cone projection, and your eye is the start, and then the cone is the small circle on their globe Earth that's flat. That's called the offing, and then past that is where supposedly, and they're begging the question, there it starts curving away. So, of course, everything again has to be begging the question that you live on a sphere. But like we did the whole show today, where do the angles originate from? Never from the surface. Their books never give you any angle measurement from the surface. It's always from the equatorial plane, the center of Earth, where it's flat. This is embarrassing. If you say you live on the ball, but you can't get any measurements from the ball for celestial navigation to work. You have to go and cut it in half, have a flat plane, then project it out to the celestial sphere and throw some rules that now the Earth is stationary and it's the stars and sun moving around us, which kills your argument right there. But you got to do that in order for a celestial sphere to work, you know, the model. And then you originated from the equatorial plane, which is flat Earth, and then reproject it back to the surface of an arc of a protractor and say that's where you got it from. Well, you never even got it from there. And this is their own model.
They had to take the dip correction and redefine it into a correction for a geometric horizon. That's what they did. The dip correction was just height of wire at one time, and now dip correction and height of wire are two different things. The David Sexton manual is a perfect example because that's showing two horizons. It's showing a geometric horizon and a real horizon, because the dip correction is a mathematical thing. In reality, nobody needs
things
to do it.
change, right? Things change because the geometric horizon used to be something that blocked boats and buildings in the distance. Now all of a sudden we can't see this, don't expect to see it, and would never see it because we have air. So something definitely changed.
Well, chocolate, that's how you know it's there. If you don't see it, you know, that shows it's there.
I mean,
you
yeah.
don't know it's not there
Yeah,
if you don't
checks
see
out.
it, chocolate.
What's up, Bill?
Yeah. You know
I
it's
mean,
there because
bro,
you're not
chocolate, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So give him a break. Come on.
Yeah, nah. Can't give him a break with stupidity. That's ridiculousness.
Oh, speaking of that, you should have seen Matthew Learns earlier with I forgot Fresh Grown Flowers and you know, Jim over in the obsolete server. Matthew Learns had a panic attack and rage quit last night. So if anybody thought that wasn't possible, it's been done.
Really?
Yeah,
Someone
bro.
got him upset.
When's the last time? When's the last time you talked to that schizo?
Yeah, it's been a while.
What'd you do? Just ask him to show the model? Kept on showing you flat plane models?
No, bro. I said, can you just tell me where you get your information from? And then after a few minutes of him mumbling, he said, yeah, this guy. And he showed some link. I go, okay, what kind of information is it? And he goes, it's science. And then I go, wow, Matthew, this is a nice letter from some Latin priest 800 years ago. And he said he imagined the earth as a ball. Is that your, is that your example of science? And he goes, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm leaving. Thanks.
Wow.
Well, we're going to
touchy.
have to start recording them. Yeah, because you're not going to believe me. I'm going to have to start recording them with Fresh Cronin. But yeah, you'll meet some nice people over there, Chocolate.
Well, he's the guy that tends to not really be too combative. Like he'll concede to almost everything and then just tell you, "Well, I just believe
Yes,
it."
he
'cause,
passed right.
That's
You
the story.
exactly right. Yep, he passive aggressively steals the stroller with your child in it, pushes it over a cliff, and says, "I didn't see anything. I have no idea." Yeah, it's pretty nice. So if
It's
you
sad.
don't remember, yeah, go ahead.
It's a sad day when anybody runs from the Bible.
So you're
Well,
saying
he
he
said
takes
that.
baby steps?
Yeah, Well, he said that God had to talk to Job that way because Job wasn't smart enough to understand the actual globe Earth. So God had to talk to Job that way as if it was flat. Yeah.
Wow, that's not patronizing at all.
So that's the 2,000-year-old version of you don't understand.
That sounds like
Yeah. No. Where's about 3,500-year-old version?
Speaking about Matthew said God made spears.
Yeah, Matthew doesn't believe God can make words. He doesn't believe in the words that God uses. So he doesn't really have a claim. Wow.
Can you imagine being a
Well,
Christian and then claiming that you can't take the Bible literal?
Well, yeah, he said that there's other information outside of the Bible, and he said science, and he says he always has this mantra, like he starts to get upset, and he goes, "Well, science and logic and observation." He just says, and then you go, "Okay, Matthew, what science or logic or observation?" And then you get, a 700-year-old letter from some Latin priest that says the Earth is a globe because I thought about it. So, yeah, that was cool. Wait a minute, Chocolate. Do you know Jim 777?
Jin?
No, Jim. So, yeah, not Jin. You're thinking of Jin CBR, right? No, so Juliet, India, Mike,
Yeah.
Jim.
I've heard him. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well, he likes to talk about so he's the guy that grabbed. We have this server, right? So he goes and grabs Matthew Learns. He calls him Glober Man, and he's been talking all week about this Glober Man because this is a separate kind of like hidden server, so nobody knows this guy. So Matthew Learns gets there, and people are calling him Glober Man. It was pretty awesome, but yeah, bro, this guy is absolutely the most insane person I've ever met in my life. I've never met somebody that just lies every time they literally move their face. They're lying, and that's Matthew Learns, bro. You can't make this up.
Yeah, well, what do you want, man? What can you expect from them? Look at what their model's giving them
Yep.
to work with. So-called model.
Wow. Yeah, that's how you know we're in Revelation, bro. They call good evil and evil good, right? Down is up is down. And I try to tell people, I go, the best evidence for this, if you're worried about God's construct of the heavens above and earth beneath and the waters underneath the earth, all you got to do is talk to somebody that was raised on television that believes they live in a cartoon, and they are literally the greatest walking, talking pieces of evidence you could ever ask for. And they've been the same. They've been the number one piece of evidence for the plane of existence being reality since 2015. They will literally push you away from them. All you got to do is mention that you don't believe in cartoons on TV, and they'll spend hours telling you why you can't trust your eyes unless you're watching TV. So God bless them.
The problem I see is that scientism has entered the pulpit, and because they never vetted pseudoscience from real science, they're stuck. They're in a jam because now they've changed words like firmament to expanse, which firmament doesn't mean expanse. Expanse, in my mind, conjures like the volume within a container, whereas the firmament, the exact reading is something stamped out, hard, solid. So how could something solid be that? And then you've got it holding waters above and waters below, so it's dense enough to keep waters from coming down. So they changed that. Then they go into black holes, and God made the galaxies, and God is so big he can do this if he wanted to. I go, yeah, but in his word, he didn't say he did that.
Yep. It's projection, 10th man, because the next thing they're gonna say is something like, "Well, I'm not gonna limit God." It's like, what are you talking about? You're putting God in a cartoon, limiting him. You're completely destroying the word of God. It's really sickening. And I like to point out, 10th man, that again, these people are saying you can't trust your eyes in reality. But then when they say sun, moon, and stars, so you're saying when we're looking at Earth, we can't trust our eyes when we're looking at Earth, but we can trust our eyes, and we don't say begot refraction when we're looking away from Earth. You see the problem here? That is the highest level. I'm sorry, but it's Satanism. It's not scientism. And a lot of these problems, you're very kind, 10th man. You allow them to keep these words. The terminology is evil. It isn't science at all. It's Satanism or seanceism. There's no science at all you got to do is go, can you just show me the science? And you don't even need, if you can let them ignore the scientific method. I don't even mean that. If you could let them pick a definition of science, great, and they still won't be able to show you their own definition. It's much worse than holding them to any standard, that they don't want to get to. Because remember, they will hide from any definition. They hate words. And that's again why this conversation has nothing to do with evidence. It's about the shape of your heart. It's about the thoughts and the heart is what this.
Well, if I'm addressing Christians, I will definitely hold them accountable, because I'll say, what does the Bible say? You're supposed to believe the Bible. We go to the passage in Isaiah where it says circle of the earth, and then we go to another passage where he uses the word ball when he's saying he's going to roll up the children of Israel and roll them down the hill like a ball. So there was a word for ball, but it didn't use that word in the circle one. It's two-dimensional flat disc is one that he used.
Right.
An actual circle. Well, that works with celestial navigation read properly before they project it onto a sphere, because that circle is the equatorial plane. That is the surface of the earth. And so it's like Satan wants to use scientism to destroy God's creation account that has been under attack since Genesis and all the way to Revelation. God wants glory for his creation. It talks about it in the Psalms. It talks about it in the Old and New Testaments so often. In fact, it's part of how a person could know God. It says in Romans, by the things that are made, you should be looking up and asking, right? By the things that are made, there's a creator. So Satan definitely wants to cloud that up.
Yeah, using your eyes. I mean, yeah, we're talking about a so-called Christian. That's the thing. I mean, there's different levels to this battle. Yeah, you use I guess a different tactic depending on who you're talking to. But Chocolate knows who I'm talking about. I don't think you've ever talked to this guy, 10th man. This guy has been a teacher for, I think he said, over 20 years. He claims he's a Christian. I won't say too much about him because it gets really ugly. But I think you'd love to have a conversation with this guy. He claims that he takes the Bible literal, but then every time it talks about anything related to the construct of creation, he says, actually, God really didn't mean it that way. He actually had to talk to his people that way because they weren't smart enough to understand, like it's that bad. So he completely throws away the Bible and just double speaks. And again, but here's the problem is that he lies. He'll just he'll make up an excuse. It's like crazy things like, well, how do you explain that? GPS works over the southern part of the Pacific Ocean. And it's like, well, you've never been there, so why would you make a claim? There's no, you know what I mean? Like they just make stuff up, as if explain something in my imagination. No, I can't explain your imagination. But my point is, 10th man, this is a Christian. This is a Christian saying that he can't trust the senses that God gave him or the Bible. Do you see a problem here? When you brought up the
No,
Romans,
yeah,
that's the point. God
yeah.
says, God says to believe your eyes. God says, yeah, by the things that are clearly seen by what is made. He even says, God says, by what is made, you can see this. That is the truth, right? And then the guy, literally, these are Christians. They'll say, no, you actually shouldn't. They'll say, don't look at the earth because you actually can't measure it. You actually can't determine it by observing it. You have to look away from that. You see, the Bible calls that Satanism, right? Jesus says, if I tell you of things of the earth and you can't understand, how can I possibly tell you things of the heaven? And they're doing that. They're saying, let's look to the heavens. Let's look away from things of the earth to determine what the earth is. I know this is a little harsh, but that is Satanism. If I say, oh, let me look at my neighbor's orange tree to decide what kind of car he drives, that's Satanism. And if you're teaching children that's pure insanity. That's evil. And this is the only religion, again, let me finish. This is the only religion which teaches you to look away from the topic to figure out what it is. This is absolute insanity. And Jesus is probably coming back next 10 years.
Well, it's the same problem Danny Faulkner has. Now, Danny Faulkner has been in astronomy for over 40 years, and he has a vested interest. If he has to admit he's wrong, all of his books, his embarrassment on the subject matter, he's not going to do that. So it's easier for these people to say, well, that's not what the Bible means. Or you could, people were so, God said it that way because they weren't smart enough. So they start adding to the Bible or subtracting from the Bible, which is damnable to begin with, because you shouldn't be doing that as a Christian. And then we're told that the ruler of the world is the devil. So yeah, when the ruler of the world is the devil, spiritually speaking, he is going to try to discredit the accounts of creation. And so it doesn't surprise me that when someone is vested in astronomy or the so-called sciences, and they have to carry on the globe lie as a part of their degree or their master's. Yeah, sorry, buddy. That's not what reality tells us, nor the Bible. You're wrong.
Well, hold on. And when you look up, right, the angle measurement to the stars and things like that, that proves a flat plane also.
That's
so they
correct.
don't have that anymore either.
Well, let me reiterate. It does show that the sky is planar. The sky is not curved. I hate when I hear this term celestial sphere. There's no such thing. The sky moves like a wheel or a gear. The sky moves like gears. It's actually all two-dimensional movement. That's why they're called constellations. No matter where you are, everybody sees, the belts or Orion or Sigma. That's the thing about the heavens above do not have any sphericity to them at all. They are completely flat. I wouldn't say that proves the earth. I would say that they're separate, right? I would say that proves that, again, there's an extended plane of existence that we're in. Like, what 10th man say earlier about the firmament? One of the terms is an extended surface, right? So not the expanse. Yeah, the expanse is a loose definition. That's not correct, right? But extended surface, it's calling it a surface, just like in Genesis 1:2, the face of the waters, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Exodus 24, and God says, you shall not make any graven images of anything of any like this in the heavens above, the earth beneath, and the waters under the earth. 2 Peter 3, for this they are willingly ignorant, that the word of God in the heavens were of old, and that the earth is standing out of the, what again? Water, and in the water. Psalms 24, Psalms 24, the earth is fashioned out of water. So I'm just getting to a point here. There's a big deception going on here. And the misunderstanding is that, I'm just going to say it right now, the earth is not holding waters. The earth is encompassed. The earth is encompassed by waters. Yeah.
Is in the water.
Hold on a sec. The celestial
Amen.
The celestial sphere model does not make any claims about the shape of the sky. People make claims.
There's no such thing as a
based
celestial
on that
sphere.
model.
There's no such thing as a celestial sphere.
Hold on, Pillbox. Just let him. You gave him about 5 seconds.
But there's no claim within the celestial sphere. It's only angle relationships to the ground. That's what the celestial sphere model is. It's just the angle relationship to the ground. So it doesn't tell you anything about the shape of the sky. And there's no need to make a claim about the shape of the sky. I don't get this.
The ballers do.
Okay, but
the
can
ballers
I just say about I'll just say that
But let me
term
comment.
sphere though.
But right.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
But even in their claim, it requires a flat plane. Even in their claim, it requires a flat plane with the celestial sphere model.
Okay, I just want to say that obviously there's no such thing as a celestial sphere. So I'm not going to tell you what to do, but obviously I'm not going to say celestial sphere when there's no.
No, hang on,
fictitious.
Bill. Listen.
Yeah.
Listen, it's imaginary. They say it's imaginary. It doesn't actually exist. It's imaginary, and there's no end to it. So they go to infinity. There's no distance to it. Right. Okay, so there's a couple of things going on here, not just one. So in order to get a globe surface, they get the angle measurement from a flat plane to the stars, sun, and all the bodies used for navigation. So that's how John is saying it's an angle relationship to the ground. It has to be a flat baseline, the earth, ground, to get the angle, elevation that is. But then in order to project it as a globe, they project that out all the way and create a concave, the inside of a sphere. Okay, and then they reproject that down to a surface, which would be like the arc of a protractor, and that base still remains of that protractor still remains the flat earth. So they're doing that for a couple of reasons, but it doesn't exist. It's the way the eye works. If you put a protractor in the center of your eye, it's going to give you the same viewing that when you go outside and see something on the horizon, all of a sudden it's at your zenith. So, wow, it's directly over my head. It rose. It looks like it's rising when it's coming towards you rather than rising, like from a globe, right? And then sunset, the same thing. So this is why the more I look into it, like I got so many things here I'd like to share, it's just too many. But the whole point is elevation angle destroys them. Their own admission that the angle comes from a flat disk destroys anything coming from a curved surface.
The celestial sphere model shows perspective in the orthographic view. That's what it's showing. It's a way of depicting perspective and angular measurements of that perspective in orthographic view. That's the whole point of it. There's no claim of a curved sky. Now, I heard a couple of other things being said there. I heard that someone said that this argument is not about evidence. It is. It doesn't matter whether our opposition accepts it or not. It's the evidence that we can produce and show to the world that matters. Because our opposition are even a smaller group in some ways than we are. Or at least they're heading to be a smaller group. And
I like
there was
that.
something
You're
else
right.
was said as well. Yeah, there was something else said as well. I can't think of it now. I'll have to come back.
Bro, they are one of the smallest minorities. That's a bad echo. Okay, yeah, so they are the smallest minority. Nobody in their right mind goes around saying refraction. I can't trust my eyes. You are talking about the smallest group of psychotic atheists, and probably about 3,000 people. Yep.
Well, regardless of what they are, I mean, the likes of Danny Faulkner might actually believe that he's on a globe. He doesn't have to be evil or support an evil narrative. He might actually believe he's on the globe, or just not be able to accept that it's flat. Do you know what I mean? It could just come down to he can't accept that it's flat. He can't see how all this could be wrong. You know, the guy is old as well. He can't maybe see how this all could be completely wrong. Now, I'm not saying he's a nice guy or he's honest, but it doesn't make him part of a dark cult or whatever. I'm just stating. It doesn't make him that. It just makes him wrong. You know?
No, the problem here with Danny Faulkner, the way I see it, is that he claims the Bible to be the Word of God, but when it comes to this subject matter, he makes excuses and veers off proper hermeneutics, something that's historical versus something poetry, and then philosophizes his heliocentrism onto the Bible. So he's definitely doing something that I would argue against vehemently, because number one, he claims the Bible is God telling us about his creation. And then when we go read it, they say, oh yeah, this matches flat earth. Oh, no, that's not flat earth. That's not what God means.
Yeah.
Let's just philosophize. Let's just say that Job was stupid and God had to talk to him that way.
To be fair, this runs the gamut of all kinds of propositions that people use for the Bible for pro or against it. They have different interpretations and philosophies that they put it through before they come to their conclusion. Not just the earth.
Yeah, no one's saying it doesn't, but the subject matter.
Hold on a second.
The subject matter is this.
Go on, Kiwi.
So Danny Faulkner in 2016, after our little text debate, I concluded with there's one of two choices. You're either dumb as fuck or you're a stone cold liar.
I think it's the former.
2016.
I think Danny's stupid.
Yeah, that's confirmed. He certainly is. I just want to say that the biblical method, though, I think that was Brian. Was that Brian? I forget his name.
easy.
There's so many people. The gentleman that spoke earlier, he was talking about me. I was wrong about saying that it's not about evidence. Well, someone like Danny Faulkner and these people that hide from evidence, and when you show them evidence, they say, oh, I can't trust my eyes because of this religion that the atheists invented in 2015 when they reused the word refraction to mean life is an illusion. You know, that means it's not about evidence, unfortunately. And there's a biblical way of doing this that, you know, I hate to say this. Well, I don't hate to say it, but a lot of people might not like it. But the biblical method of going after this topic is 1,000 times more powerful than going after it in a secular term. What I mean by that is, you know, when you go to the 24/7 Discord and they say, oh, don't talk about the Bible, that has nothing to do with that. Actually, it's the exact opposite. Using the Bible is way more powerful no matter who you're talking to when it comes to discussing the construct of existence, period.
Yeah, that was me. The other thing I heard was someone, I think it was yourself, Pillbox, mentioned someone like Matthew Lawrence bringing up GPS. What they don't understand, because we've heard this GPS claim now would be for 8 years now, because it would have started in 2014. What they don't understand is that the official claim of how GPS works, even if we were on a globe, wouldn't work. If you look into how GPS is claimed to work, then you look into the background of what goes on in GPS in the background. Not only does it require a flat plane, but even within the heliocentric model, it wouldn't work, because the best that a receiver can gain is a distance to a point in the sky within the official claim where they use the two-way speed of light calculation, blah, blah, blah. All that's going to get is a point in the sky. It doesn't give the receiver a distance to the sub-satellite point. Just because the sub-satellite point is a direct line underneath the satellite doesn't mean anything, because you have what you have there is an angle line to the satellite, a line which would be a hypotenuse. You have an opposite, which would be the line from the satellite, right? Well, which wouldn't be a proper, well, it would be an opposite, but it wouldn't be a right angle triangle. For a line from the satellite to its GP position, that'd be the zenith from the GP, or its sub-satellite point. But then what you have between those two things, a curve. But you don't even have that opposite in the globe model, really, because all you're going to gain is a distance to the satellite. That's it. You know, within their claim, that satellite has to have two-way communication with the receiver. What they don't understand is within GPS, that satellite is the same as a radio station. You pick up a radio station with the radio in your car, that doesn't mean the radio station knows where your car is. It doesn't mean anything. It's the information the receiver gets and how it computes that information and what it does with that information. That's what matters. The satellite doesn't tell the receiver where it is. You know, the best that can happen is the receiver can, within the heliocentric model, is determine that this satellite is, you know, at such a distance. If we go via the two-way speed of light calculation, it's at such a distance from the receiver. You know, at this point in the sky, maybe. But that doesn't tell the receiver anything. They don't understand GPS. They just parrot GPS. Most of them have never properly looked into it. You know, they don't understand where it fails within their model. You know, but we don't even have to talk about the flat Earth. The official claim doesn't work on the globe. So this nonsense about GPS, they throw this out there every now and again. Get them to tell you how it works. Show us how it works. Yep. Stick to a globe. Show us how it works on a globe. How do you find your location on a globe? You find out they fail. All of them will fail.
Brian, they're literally saying now, again, going back to the Matthew Learns, they're literally saying now, don't try to measure the earth. Like they're saying, don't do that. Don't go like it's like some sort of like possession of some sort. Like they're saying you don't want to actually do empirical things or use your vision or your senses. You want to look away from what we're trying to determine. And what I'm telling you though is if someone is trying to escape from the topic at hand, they clearly have an ulterior motive than to observe and accept the truth of reality. And clearly, I'm not saying that evidence is bad. I love evidence. Trust me, when you come over to my server, I'll show you some. I'm a photographer and I love that. But at the same time, if I'm talking to a group of people that says, oh, I can't trust my eyes if it ever conflicts my religion, it isn't about evidence at that point. What I'm saying is it's about their heart. It's about their intent at that point. That's all.
Well, yeah, it's about the fact that they can't trust what they see because they have to show you a diagram. Their worldview is based on orthographic diagrams. And that's what their worldview is built on. So it's not that you can't trust, that's projection. Not that you can't trust what you see. They don't trust what they see because it doesn't look like their orthographic diagrams. So you're not wrong in that sense that with these people, I'm not saying you're wrong with these people you're dealing with, and we deal with, that it's not about evidence with these people. But just on the grander scale, I meant it is about evidence. But with these people, if your whole worldview is built on an orthographic diagram or a set of orthographic diagrams and calculations that are just hijacking of reality, when it comes to reality, you won't be able to accept it.
Well, this is why.
Let's remember that. Sorry,
Chocolate. You're calling Chocolate.
No, I was just going to say, let's remember their own side is telling them the same thing, right? It's not about the evidence, right? Because they remember that space.com article I brought up a while ago that was called How to Debate a Flat Earther, right? And they went through all these things they started off with the horizon, telling you we know everything about Earth curve and blah, blah, blah. And then when you get to the end of the article, what did they tell you? Oh, well, at the end of the day, it's not really about evidence and truth. It's about trust. See, you have to debate the flat earthers because they have no trust in the systems that we basically instill for them. So it's about trust. It's not about evidence.
Bingo.
So when Pillbox says that, it's literally what they're telling their own side.
What the Black Swan did, what the Black Swan did was expose it all, because the limitations of our eye and perspective show things disappearing at a certain distance until you pull out a stronger lens, pull out a P900 or something to that equal, and you see what your eyes can let you see. So they say prior to that, well, you see, there's Earth curve because the boat's going away and the bottom part is disappearing first, and we see the mast of the sailboat last disappearing. So that proves Earth curve. You say, well, hang on, look into this optical instrument that will show you that's not really what's happening because you have a limitation of your eye and there's such a thing called perspective. He looks through the lens of that optical device. He says, oh my gosh, I see the whole thing and even further the horizon. And that, what do they walk away from that? We see it for what it is. They're still fighting it.
Right, and they're saying that it's an optical illusion. They've adopted the ultimate atheism. For 2,000 years, Christians have been making this claim that scoffers can't trust their senses, and now they've finally admitted it. I mean, that's how you know that desperation that these people are in. They're literally just folding. They're saying, sorry, I have no claim anymore. If somebody's saying that they can't trust their vision, they're saying they don't have a claim at all. You can't just pick and choose when you want to believe in your fairy tale. So you want to pick and choose. You trust your eyes when you're looking at cartoons, but you can't trust your eyes when you're looking at reality. That was my claim. That's called conceding to the point. That's the point. This religion destroys your mind. Like Charles, what is that guy's name? Charles Dawes. He said it takes you from sane to insane. The religion of this outer space ball concept means you cannot trust any of your senses, right? That's what it did. It took away everybody's consensus, and that's why it's the one world religion. A Muslim, a Jew, and a Christian and atheist go into a bar and watch a rocket launch, and they all go, oh, wow, look how great that is. I mean, that is the one world system right now. It's scary. And because we send rocket phallic symbols into outer space, we have no right to question our governments all at the same time when they tell us we have to take their medicines because of television viruses. So that's how bad it is. It is already way too late for this plane of existence, gentlemen. And again, it's about the thoughts and intents of the heart. And they're admitting it now. That's how scary it is. They're no longer pretending. They're admitting it. Refraction.
Hey, before I go, because I gotta go, I have an appointment. I want to say this. I wear glasses, and the reason I wear glasses because my eyesight isn't as good as what it was. Okay, and so I've got the bifocal type to wear transition lenses as well in the sun. And so if I look at the lower part of my glasses, I could read books. If I look at the upper half, I could see freeway signs very clearly, especially at night. All right, well, if I have to deal with that, and then someone says to me, hey, look at the horizon. How far can you see with your eyes? I go, well, as far as my eyes let me. Let me put on my glasses and see what else I can see. Okay, now I see a little bit better, but I'm limited by my eyes. Someone says, well, listen, they have inventions like telescopes and cameras with zoom lenses that work better than the eye. Do you trust that? Well, yeah. I mean, why do you think Coast Guard cutters have binoculars? I mean, why do you think these things come in handy sometimes? And then what you see is, oh my gosh, that's not because of Earth curvature. That's because of my limitations to my eyes and the deck and the compression and all of the stuff that goes into perspective. And this is what they're dancing around. They don't want to admit to that. And yet, what do they point up to the sky? These $1 million telescopes. It's nonsense.
Speaking of the
Right. And
telescopes,
listen,
the
10th man,
equatorial
refraction
plane.
never happens up there, and I got to go soon. So I'm sorry that we'll have an over talking battle that I'll win right now. So sorry about that because I got to go. But 10th man, that's the point. They'll trust their eyes when a machine is looking at something. They'll trust their senses when they're watching cartoons. But they won't trust their senses when they're looking at reality. So one of my questions is maybe you guys should kind of add into the housekeeping a question like, what's it going to take to earn your business? Like, is there any goalpost that actually exists? Because remember, it's not about them moving the goalpost. They don't have a goalpost, right? There is none. You'll say, well, I just met your criteria. Oh, well, I've changed my mind now. Now I actually believe there's no goalpost. And like, it's like a car deal. Sir, if I gave you the car and $5,000, would you buy it? Nope, I'm just looking. That's what a Glober is. Nope. Okay, sir, if I gave you 2 cars and maybe, and was your slave for the rest of your life, would you then buy the car? Nope, I'm just looking. That's what a Glober is. They come here to make themselves feel better. And you go, what's it going to take to maybe trust your eyes? Is there anything I can do to maybe trust your senses or eyes, sir? They go, nope, I'm not looking. So thanks for having me, guys.
Look, I know you got to go, I got to go too. I'm not even interested in changing. Okay, that's fine. Go. I'm not interested in getting them to admit anything. I'm just interested in that my position is supported by truth. Whoever comes. You're right. I'm not in charge of anybody's decision. Right.
You are right, but watch this.
Well,
for the audience, I like to show. I like to show the audience. Watch this. No matter what, they won't be able to trust their eyes. No matter what, they won't trust evidence. And it's a good thing to show somebody that's on the fence. Like, look, these people are hiding from reality. But just my last thing, guys. Remember, Earth is not holding the waters of creation. I love you, and we'll see you later. Thanks for having me. Peace out.
Good night to Pillbox.
All right, John. What do you got to say? Yeah, John, say what you got to say because I got to go. I want to hear what you got to say.
The equatorial mount telescope. The one they used to point to all the time. If you notice, they're not bringing it up a lot because the equatorial plane, the flat plane that they base their measurements off of, that's the plane that equatorial mount's using.
That's right.
They're in a bit of trouble. But there's no way you can debate somebody on a topic that's not in contention. And at this point, we realize there's no debate to be had. They're using the same flat plane.
So on that note, can I read the last couple of sentences, the paragraph from that article named "How to Debate a Flat Earther" from space.com? If that's cool.
Yeah, go ahead, Chocolate. I'm going to leave after that. Go ahead.
All right, I'll just read it real quick. Arguing from evidence. However, I don't think this discussion is really about the actual evidence or the scientific process, people who believe the earth is flat aren't coming to that conclusion from the same types of observations. They instead believe that we are being misled and lied to, that scientists, including me, want you to believe that the earth is round, despite its flatness. So the question isn't why do people believe in a flat earth, but rather, why do people believe in a conspiracy? And the answer is the same reason it always is, a lack of trust. End quote.
Well, my point is the globe, right, is just a projection of a flat plane onto the celestial sphere. That's all it is. So even the globe itself is built on a flat plane model. Like that point is contentious. That's why they're trying to not debate it, because they have to accept that first, and then they move on to dip angle using a flat plane. It's nonsense, but like I said, if you give them their that there is a contentious point, then they want to debate you on it instead of just pointing out that you're using a flat plane for this. You don't need to argue with them.
Yeah, I had a thing with some Globers, including Wolfie, I think, if I remember right, about the EQ mount. And the thing about it is that the EQ mount, like the question we got for years is like, how would that work on a flat Earth? It would work exactly as it works. I mean, if we never had a sphere belief ever, and you wanted to create the EQ mount, you'd have to create it exactly as it is. It would have to do exactly what it does. And the best, I'm using the word model here because I don't have the right word. The best model to work best is exactly how it works. You're using the celestial sphere model. You're following the perspective movement of the sky, and you have it set to move at 15 degrees per hour or whatever you need it to move at. Like it's going to be 15 or just slightly less than 15 if you're talking about sidereal. And you follow a star around or the sun or whatever. That's what you do. You follow that. And that's what it does. So it uses a horizontal plane and an angle to a star. It follows that star as it apparently gets closer to the horizon. And then once it gets to the point where the EQ mount gets to a horizontal, it just goes right around in a circle and meets that same point in the sky later on or the next day or whatever, at the opposite side. And it can do it again. That's how the EQ mount works. If you were going to create, if the globe model never existed and someone wanted to create something to do that, that's exactly what you'd create. Why would you create it any different? Just because you're on a flat plane, you wouldn't. That's exactly what you do. Because why would you try and you'd have to mess around? It makes no sense to make it any differently. It's a nonsense argument. Because I said that before. It's using a flat horizontal baseline, and they couldn't deny it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing as why would you assume the earth is flat, stationary when building vehicles that you're going to put people in over this flat plane if it's not that, if it's literally the opposite of that? How does making something the opposite of what it is simplify it in reality? That's nonsense.
Because of terrestrial refraction.
What
Yeah,
in which they need more nonsense, like radius and sphere-shaped air. That's
but they need an equal amount of nonsense in order to neutralize that nonsense and turn it.
Net nonsense zero. Copy that.
Yeah, terrestrial refraction, like terrestrial refraction as they're using it now, is what that young dude, I can't remember his first name, but he used a flat plane. So is
who? Andrew Thomas Young?
Kind of argument. Yeah, he used a flat plane to demonstrate it, so not a ball pin.
Yeah, that's weird. Where did he get that from? Where did he get the flat plane that he used to make all his refraction calculations from? Where did he get that from? If there's no flat plane on a sphere. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
He had to add an R value that's based off a back calculation of flat measurements. So he made a lot of flat measurements, then he added a back calculation of flat measurements to that flat measurement to come up with the idea it's a sphere. Do you know what I mean? Within what he was doing, to try and add in sphericity within what he was doing. It's back ass word, isn't it? That's what you could call it. That's the best back ass word.
Well, look,
It's like flat plus flat equals globe.
If you can convince an entire group that everything, despite seeming and appearing to be perfectly flat, is a ball anyway, and you can get them that far, well, after that point, what can't you do?
Yeah, you're right. That's why I like the other guy, the guy the other day when what's his name, Hoyamar or whatever. And he kept telling Nathan, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter if it's refracted. As he's telling him that it's refracted, it's like, well, if it doesn't matter if it's refracted or not, like you say, well, then why the hell are you saying it's refracted? How can you even tell if it doesn't matter? But nothing matters apparently, because we supposedly have this Earth curve, but it doesn't matter that it's there or not. I mean, now we've reached a point where we've never seen it. We can't see it because we have an atmosphere. Well, that's rich.
No, but it only doesn't matter when you're disproving the globe, right? Just like science doesn't prove anything when it disproves the globe. So everything is all right. Everything proves everything until you draw the globe in doubt, and then everything is flipped inside out.
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is the real question for them is, like, for years we got that, how does EQ amount work on your flat Earth, right? There was no logic put into their question. They just asked it, right? Because that was supposed to be globe proof. So we can switch that around now because we know better now. How do airplanes work on your globe? Because we have pilots from their side stating that they don't have anything to show us to prove that they're flying over a rotating curved surface. Like, airplanes are designed to fly over a horizontal stationary plane. It has to be at least horizontal. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it doesn't have to be stationary, but it doesn't matter. The point is, there's no evidence of it being not stationary or being not flat. When it comes to airplanes, how do airplanes work on your globe? They don't have anything. If you look, I've gone through it with them. They don't have anything. It gets down to a point where they have to state that horizontal becomes a different direction. So you're horizontal now, that you're keeping the nose of your airplane above. Your pitch angle is a couple of degrees above horizontal. They have to believe that at some point that your horizontal changes to a completely different angle, which would have to be a minus of the horizontal you have now. So the new horizontal would have to be a couple of degrees down from the horizontal you have now. And then that's a new horizontal. Then you dip down by a few degrees, and then you make a new horizontal. So it's back to disco ball Earth. We have all these flat places, right? But all that is nonsense, because any of them will make that claim, and even pilots will make that claim. But there's absolutely zero evidence for any of these corrections. No evidence whatsoever. And you can get evidence that there isn't evidence for it. You can show the opposite evidence for it. It absolutely annihilates them.
Can you scientifically prove the absence of evidence?
Well, you can show the evidence in the opposite direction. You can show that there's no pilot ever bringing the nose below horizontal when flying at cruising altitude. No commercial airliner ever flies with its nose below horizontal to gain a whole new horizontal. How do you change from horizontal? Well, how do you define horizontal if you're changing to a different horizontal for a start? And where is the evidence of these corrections? that would have to be several degrees below your initial starting horizontal. That's why when I ask the question, how do you violate horizontal? That's what I mean. How do you violate horizontal? Horizontal is the same thing regardless of your elevation or your altitude. So how do you violate that? How do you change that to a different direction where it's several degrees
Through gravity.
out of an angle different?
You can't.
Through gravity.
You can't do it. It can't be done, and there is no evidence that it is being done. You know, that's the thing.
Lou? Through gravity. Sorry.
Explain gravity.
No, don't go, no, Neil. There you go. I would ignore gravity as soon as that comes up. Go straight back to the airplane. Straight back to what's really happening. Now,
Yeah, you're right,
saying
Brian.
gravity, yeah, because that changes the direction it's down. You know, what I would say if I had to go into that argument, I go straight to Adam's accelerometer argument. You know, gravity, you know, that destroys that claim. It destroys Adam's accelerometer demonstration is probably the best with that and Mitchell's coin on the table demonstration. They're the two best demonstrations I've ever seen. You know, but the point is that once you go into gravity and start asking them about gravity, you're gone away from the thing that they had no answer for. They can't argue with you concerning gravity and make up a lot of nonsense, and, you know, and wrangle
I
dangle.
always like the question response, what's gravity? And then like let them on the tiresome road of actually trying to figure out what it is and then ending up like realizing that they don't know and they can't know.
Owen takes them the painful way, right, Owen?
Well, you know, the best lessons learned are painful lessons, so.
Yeah, but they're not learning them. They keep saying the same stuff over and over.
Yeah, they're a flat earthers. They're wanting to do that. Just remember, the people that keep saying the same thing over and over again, the anti-flat earthers, are not globe believers. You're not talking to someone that believes in a globe at that point.
That's right, they're heretics. I forgot.
Right, they're
Yeah, so it
heretics.
doesn't matter
They
what
don't
they
even
say.
realize they're heretics, right? So they're just delusional. They don't know that they're doing it wrong. They're like the choir boys that just keep singing off tone.
Yeah, but I think with Danny Faulkner, I think that it's just pride with him. Like Ted was saying, he just can't believe that everything that he's gone to school and learned and what he's making a living on and what he's writing books about, how can this be wrong? I think it's pride.
I'd like to just...
That they might be asking the questions, but then they don't proceed and answer their own questions. They just forget about it. That's the problem.
I'd like to just bring clarity to something I heard on one of the shows the other day. I don't think I was on the show at the time. I don't even know if I was on the show at all. I just listened back to a show yesterday, I think it was. And it was one of the flat earthers talking about how maybe with trigonometry we can know the height of the sun. I just wanted to show something here, right? There's a couple of steps to this.
That was Cuddles.
I don't know who it was, but there was someone there. I'll accept that it was this man Cuddles. No, you can never know the height of any celestial body with trigonometry because that height will change when the position, when either your position in relation to the celestial body or a celestial body's position in relation to you changes. So that height will change. Unless you have some way to gaining a height to that celestial body when it's at your 90, because that's the only true point. When it's at your 90, that's the only true point when it's at its true height from you, whatever it is. So you don't even know what it is, and you're trying to find a height to it. You can't. I mean, the fact that you can take an angle at sea level and the same exact angle from an airplane 6 miles up in the sky to the same exact object, that tells you it's not absolutely impossible to gain. That alone means that it's impossible to gain a height using trigonometry, the internals of a right angle triangle. It's impossible to gain the height of a celestial body like that. You cannot. Unless you can find some way to gain its height when it's at your 90, but that would be knowing what it is as well, because you don't know what it is or where it is, or how it's there. So that's the problem. So you can't do it. Technically, you just can't do it. But I just want to give a bit of history to that. That was something that the Globers gave to us back in 2015. They started telling us, well, Polaris should be 3,000 miles high if three people take the same angle to it from the equator or whatever nonsense, or not the equator, from 45 degrees north latitude, or blah, blah, blah. So, this was nonsense that they handed us. This is a straw man that they handed us that people don't realize was handed to us by them. And they then, once you give them a height, right, something you can't prove or can't obtain, and and is going to be wrong, once you do that, they then will find a way to debunk that and make you look silly. So forget the height of celestial bodies. You don't know them, you can't know them. You can't know them using trigonometry. It's not a mountain or a building that you can actually measure the height of in a different way and then know its angular size or whatever, distance and angular size. You can't do that. You can't do an angular size measurement, or you can't do that with the celestial bodies. You can't do that. It can't be done. What you want to be done can't be done. We don't know what height they're at, and I don't know if we ever want to find a way to know. But what you have for years on the globe side was them asking us this stupid question. Now, I don't know if anyone else said it to them, but I know that I was the first person that I remember saying it to them about the fact that once you change the angle, you change the height, right? And now what I've run into personally online is Globers telling me that. Yes, they spent years before I said that to any of them. They spent years, and maybe other people said it to them. I don't know if I was the original, but they spent years saying, well, it has to be this height on a flat earth, or it has to be that height on a flat earth. But when I pointed out that it can't be that any of those heights, because the height will change with the angle every time. So you have only, if it's an angular height, then it's not the actual height, is it? It's always going to be a perspective height. You're never going to be able to get the actual height. You don't even know where it is or what it is, blah, blah, blah. But now we have them coming back to flat earthers, because I've had them saying it to me, because the idiots who said it to me didn't even realize that I was the person who first started saying it to them that I'm aware of. And now they're saying it back to me. These people are the most mentally unoriginal people in the world. You have to be. Because all they ever do is take things that we point out as fact and then try and use it as if they've been saying it all along. They haven't been. They spent the bones of 6 years saying something completely different and getting it completely wrong. From what I saw, anyway.
Hey, for that reasoning, how long will it be before they start saying the globe is a flat plane?
Well, they're already saying it.
I mean, at some point, they're going to start asking us, where's the curvature? At this point.
Yeah, where's your curvature, flat earther? Yeah.
It sounds like a joke, and we're laughing about it. But that's where we're heading.
That's where we are. They're telling us we've never seen the curvature. They never measured it. You can't see it.
They're saying that. But
how is that any different to
asking us for it?
How is that any different to you and your reference frames are ruined? That's like saying, where's your curvature, flat earther? Where's your rotational reference frame, flat earther? It's like, I don't have one. That's the globe claim you disagree with.
Exactly. That's where we are. 2022.
You'll never be able to debate a heretic on their religion because they're already heretical. You can't win that. It's delusion at that point.
Especially when the actual enemy is the religion and not the heretic. Because that's the problem, right? That the problem is the religion that we're fighting, the narrative. And the people that want to take up that fight want to change the narrative and become heretics to their own narrative. In order to defend that narrative, they need to change it up. That's insane. But why are you defending it in the first place? Just stop defending it. It's probably better off on its own. That's why they're changing all types of shit, right? That's why science doesn't prove anything anymore. Maybe if you had all just shut up and didn't tell us for years and years that there's all this scientific evidence for the globe, maybe you guys wouldn't have to run around saying that science doesn't prove things now. Even clowns like Vsauce, who have loads of videos on his channel talking all about science and all about globes, and then all of a sudden now science doesn't prove a globe, science doesn't prove anything, and he doesn't know it's a globe. So what the hell is his channel about? What the hell? This is batshit crazy. And sorry, not sorry, laughing at y'all. Yep.
Right. The whole idea behind my debate with Ruhif wasn't I was going to go and argue points with him. You know, there's only 2 points that he has to concede that prove our, that prove not our point, but what the Earth is, measurably flat. And he'll have to accept those points to go on to make any claims about anything else. And I think that's why he's dragging his feet. I mean, I don't know that, but I think that might be.
Do you think they're mad at the celestial navigators who are using a flat plane to actually navigate? Do you think maybe they're mad at them? Or are they mad at us for pointing out that that's what celestial navigators doing, even though it's all in their books that that's what they're doing? But oh my God, this group of people is now pointing it out. This is devastating. We need to shut them down. Meanwhile, these guys have been using it for years and years, and that's okay. Oh, we weren't supposed to find that out. We weren't supposed to point it out to you guys. Is that what it is? Just like we weren't supposed to point out that your Earth curve is geometric? Is that why you started telling us that all of a sudden, oh, we don't see the geometric horizon? The hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? You told us that the geometric horizon, your Earth curve, was blocking boats and buildings. Now we can't see it? You sound like a crazy person.
You've exposed the magic trick.
Yeah, that's the problem. Now it's hard to put the jack back in the box, huh? It's hard to go back and tell us how much this lighthouse is hidden by feet and inches, right? All of a sudden, that's a problem, right? Terrible. Any Globers want to tell us all about it, or nah?
Or not. If we look at all the things they had to hijack, every visual effect, every effect of refraction, I suppose you could say refraction is visual, but it's part of the temperature and all that creating it. So every natural effect, even down to that affects tsunami wave shoaling, where you have a situation where the tide that comes in Western Australia, that hits basically a cliff underneath the water because their topography goes from shallow water to very deep all of a sudden. And when that happens, the water that hits it comes up over it. So you end up with any boats that are on the water that comes up over it are lifted up, whereas boats that are still on the water that didn't get lifted up over this cliff, this underwater cliff, you have them being lower. And you have trying to rob that as part of, or hijack that as aircraft. They've tried absolutely everything. Every visual effect or natural effect they could find, they tried to hijack it. And they still have never been able to show aircraft. It's always been disproven. How could you keep going with that narrative?
You know what was the
Wiki
worst?
says so. Because Wiki says so. That's all you're dealing with out here. If you're talking about the anti-flat earthers, that's all they've been doing for the past 7 years, was parroting Wiki mindlessly without any depth. But what they didn't know, that Wiki contradicts himself with every other breath. So they're in a steaming contradiction whenever they open up their mouths. So that's all you got out here. Now, it's a little bit different when you're talking about Danny Faulkner and his ilk. That's a little different game. But what you're talking about, you're just talking to Wiki parroters. They're fucking Dunning-Kruger pretender clowns, each and every one of them. I haven't met one that wasn't. You? Nope.
No,
You haven't.
I haven't. Actually, every single one that I've dealt with have claimed to be more than they were, and they've all been shown up at some point to be wrong, or just not researched, not having the information they should have had. They've all been shown up to be that. I don't know any of our opposition that have not been shown up personally. None of them.
You never will. Because the Earth's flat. It's not moving. And it's contained. That's it.
Oh, you mean exactly how it presents itself to us? Oh, that's cool. That
Yes.
sounds like a default position. But apparently people think it's the opposite of that. That's weird.
No, Wiki thinks that. So they think that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
I think they think you should reconsider the geometry.
Half of them don't know. More than half, 90% don't even know what geometry is. Ask them. You got doctors out here, professional people that don't know what a fucking circle or a triangle is. What are we dealing with here? You tell me.
Yeah, it's like just because you have a profession, that somehow gives you a license to know everything and to be right about on all topics, just because you have a profession. That's the logic.
The worst part is, though, they have the same access to the same information that we do. Why can't they see that if Wiki is somehow contradicting themselves? Why can't they see that too? I don't. Why does it take us to do that? That makes no sense. It's almost like you're not able to critically think about what you're reading.
Precisely.
What's the matter with you?
Critically think. But no, just your average basic reasoning. You don't even critical thinking doesn't even have to come into it. We're just talking, Fogomir level reasoning. Critical thinking. What the hell?
Are you saying that chocolate's setting the bar high?
Yeah.
Yeah, those high standards. I'm sorry. let me bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, well,
when
that's what we're dealing with.
Well, what are you gonna do when you got somebody that's supposed to be high up on the globe-tard globe say that when you put your hand in front of your face, that's not really your hand? What the hell is going on out here? And then you're trying to get into celestial navigation and the way satellites work. These people can barely clear up the slobber off their chin.
Can I ask you a question, QE? How does the sun have an angular size on a globe Earth?
I can't be arsed.
What he's asking is, if it's got a straight line to it in the curve maths, how can you have an angular size for it? The answer is you can't.
That's correct. Was that the question? How can you get an angular size? What's the question?
The question is, how can the sun have an angular size on a globe Earth? If perspective doesn't exist on a globe Earth, how can the sun have an angular size?
Well, taking that condition in, then you can't.
So if you can't have angular size
Is that correct?
on a globe,
no,
absolutely.
If you can't take perspective in, well, what is angular size? It's the not actual size, right?
Yeah.
So the
last time I looked, unless they changed that definition too. Go ahead. Somebody disagreed. Go ahead.
Well, the point isn't whether it's a globe or not. It's whether you exclude perspective. As soon as you exclude perspective, nothing can have an angular size.
That's correct. That's what I said. Yep, that's the way I answered it. You were more articulate, but yes, correct.
And they used to tell us all the time, you stupid flat earthers, it's not about perspective. It's about the curve of the earth. That's cute. But then they're the same people that used to ask us all the time, why does the sun not change its not actual size when it's moving around in its not actual position?
Oh, be careful. You're getting in the copyright material.
Hey.
But who remembers Lepizzle trying to use this gambit to prove the size of the sun by getting a non-angular field of view camera and focusing it on the sun so he could get the exact dimension?
I vaguely remember that with Lepizzle, yeah.
Yeah, they're asking us questions about the sun and saying that perspective has nothing to do with it, while they're back calculating a size and distance for their sun off of an angular measurement of the sun.
Yeah? What happened? The potato farmers go on strike?
No, that's what they're doing. They've asked us for years about the sun and about, its angular size. How does it even have an angular size? If we're on a globe, it can't. Everything's orthographic. There is no angular size. All globe mass is orthographic, can't have angular size. Angles and perspective does not exist within heliocentrism.
That has deep ramifications. You should ask one of the ballers that and then go down that trail. That'd be a lot of fun.
I hope everyone starts asking them that. I did ask. I'm not getting any replies to it. Online, just in YouTube comments.
Are there any globers in here who think the sun should not change its actual size or its not actual size while moving around in its not actual position?
You're all over copyrighted material.
Yeah. I get copyrighted all the time, so I'm good with that.
Did he say it right? The question is, why does the not actual size of the sun not change in not actual size as it moves from its not actual position? Copyright.
Correct.
Quantum Eraser.
Yeah, correct.
Well, if the baseline for that angular size, the lines for your angular size are curving through atmosphere, do you have an angular size?
No.
So it's based on there's two flamethrowers. One is what Brian said, the orthographic view, because they dismiss perspective, and then their refraction. It's over.
So it's one line, and that one line is bent.
Yeah. Yep.
Not an angle.
They're done 2 flamethrowers.
No, not an angle. Covered this in the pre-show actually, QE. Cuddles was saying you can't say you just can't have an angle on a globe, and I think at the end we concluded no, that's a fair statement, because on the globe it's a single line in orthographic view without any angular representation.
If you take it as given at the beginning premise that the globe purely exists in a construct, then all these claims about what exists or doesn't exist on the globe is all based in fantasy land, not based in reality anyway.
Yeah, it's all based on that reification. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, like he just said though, but it would be difficult to argue. You'd have to be articulate and make sure you context the construct that you're in. Because if you don't, you're going to get everyone really confused.
Yeah, you have to put a disclaimer at the first outset of your statement that you're talking about in the world of globe models. In the world of the globe belief, you can obviously measure an angle on a piece of paper. Just because you're a normie and you believe in the globe doesn't mean you can't measure an angle. But when you're specifically referencing the globe and its paradigm, then there's no angles. There's just straight lines. Well, bent lines. Well, they haven't really got much. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but Nathan, on the piece of paper is orthographic view. We don't measure in reality.
Yeah.
We don't measure angles in orthographic view in reality.
No, but I'm saying on a piece of paper.
Yeah, but
Or with a
what
cake. The cake example will stop this in its tracks. Your point is not invalid. Your point's very valid. I don't want you to feel like we're taking away or undermining your point, Brian. We're not.
Oh no, I don't mean that. I don't mean it that way. I'm just stating that the paper is still orthographic. So it's like they can do orthographic flat measurements to Polaris, and it won't work out orthographically because we don't see Polaris rise and fall orthographically. We see it rise and fall from perspective view. You know, that's why I asked them: is Polaris rising and falling due to our curve or perspective? It has to be one or the other. It can't be both.
Are we saying people don't see the side of their own head as they're looking up?
What? You know, in a globe, it has to be both.
But see,
if it were on a real globe in real world, it would have to be both simultaneously.
No, the perspective can't exist on a globe. Globe is a hijacking of perspective. All the maths take all perspective and visual.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So here we're going to elucidate the category here. Okay, you're talking about a model. Okay, I'm talking about if the Earth was actually a globe, then it would have to be perspective and the turning of the Earth, a curve or whatever.
Yeah, what you're saying is if the Earth was a sphere, you'd have to incorporate perspective. There's no hijacking it. There'd be no need to hijack it if the Earth was a sphere. You'd just encompass all of the aspects of our actual reality, including perspective. They just don't.
Yeah, the maths would be all different though. See, I thought about that already. The maths would be completely different.
Yeah, Sleeping Warrior covered this in like 2016, 17 maybe. But yeah, double dip, right? So if you're going to claim that you've got a single line to an item in the distance and say it's a 1,000-foot mountain, well, that 1,000-foot mountain is still going to get smaller into the distance. Well, you've got to account for that. Well, they don't. Well, that would be the double dip that would make their model as ludicrous as it was in terms of what we actually take into our view. If it's only Earth curve obstruction, well, what about the perspective? What about things getting smaller? Hashtag shit shrinks. They called perspective Earth curve. It's nuts. And it probably took some really clever maths to do it. I mean, I'm not saying it could take some really clever maths. I mean, it would have taken some bright spark, forward-thinking mathematicians to formulate the construct. The maths itself, I've always said this, is actually quite eloquent.
What was it somebody told us like 6 years ago? Perspective only exists in like drawing.
Yeah, that's what they have to believe, because in their drawings you've got a straight line between target and observer, and if there's a straight line on the ground, the deck doesn't obscure your view like it does in Earth curve maths orthographic view, then you can see forever. They think perspective is something that only exists in an art class, because the globe doesn't have it.
Fair point. Fair point. Linear perspective only exists in a model sense or a representational sense. It doesn't exist in reality because we don't see with fixed vision. We have limits. So as things recede, we reach our angular resolution limits, and we also reach propagation of angles of light limits, which you don't have those limits in a piece of paper or a computer program.
Well, copyright Quantum Eraser 2018. You can only have linear perspective on a flat plane. And we've got plenty of examples with wind turbines of linear perspective. You can draw a straight line straight through the turbines. Well, that's because it's receding on a flat plane. There is only perspective. But you can't have that on a ball. You can't have it be linear. It's a squared function. That's what they claim. So that's what we must see. Now, that's not to mention the fact that there isn't any perspective when you claim a squared function of the ground falling away from you with targets not receding in size. That's what the curve maths does, though. But we don't observe that. We don't observe a squaring function of things receding into the distance. We see linear perspective. Do you remember that, QE? Me asking Ranty to go back and get a picture from side on of the wind turbines. It used to be on the slideshow every day, but just the side on view of the turbines, and they're perfectly lined up. God, again, you can draw a straight line through all of them when you look at them from the side. And then when you look at them front on, with them receding into the distance, there's a straight linear relationship to how they disappear.
You remember that day?
Well, it's one of those eureka moments. There's certain things that you remember through this discussion that you go, yeah, wow, this is how they've tricked us. And that was one of them, you know, realising that they'd hijacked perspective. And at about the same time, you asked me to make a correction to my statement about the curve calculator. So it used to be called, begging the question, perspective omitting curve calculator, as opposed to the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. And you pointed out that it's not that they've excluded it, they've repurposed it. They've hijacked it.
Yep.
That's the same is true for the sun.
Bunch of pirates.
Hold on, just don't rumpus this. This is a very important point that Brian's making in linking the sky with the ground in this perspective hijacking aspect. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, that linear perspective thing. If you do a time lapse of the sun rising and coming into its solar noon and then going back to the evening time, it will be a straight line that will come to a point and then appear to go off in another direction. So it'll appear like a V. Let's just say from your vantage point, it'll appear like a V. But that V is two straight lines. It'll be like an angle line. It's a linear. There's no, you're not seeing, there's no curve there. You can draw a line through them. And this is from a real world time-lapse photography. You can't, if we're on a curved rotating surface, then it wouldn't be linear.
Oh, it would be a combination of both. However you math that out.
Yeah, it'd have to be both. If it was curving away, you'd have it curving away at the squared function they claim. That would be the ground, along with the perspective effect of things receding into the distance because they're getting smaller. Hashtag shit shrinks. You'd have both. It would be really obvious if we were on a globe. Not to mention not to mention how bloody small it is. Someone mentioned this the other day. You're like, yeah, 4,000 mile radius is tiny. It's a teeny tiny little ball. It'd be so bloody obvious.
That simple statement about the angular size change is the I don't know, bugaboo. It's the death knell for fantasy geodesy. That just simple angular size change with distance, it's all over for that whole discipline, geodesy. Sit back and take that in. Because Jesse, the Klutz Kozlowski and Drain the Main Vein Surveyor and all those numpties, right? Once you pin them down to angular size change with distance, something that a second grader knows is apodictic, well, duh. It's all over for the whole fucking fantasy. Sit back and enjoy that one. That hit me about 8 years ago. Right? Yes?
Yeah, we're all paying attention.
Absolutely.
Remember Jesse Kozlowski with his little, he had two theodolites. I had a little show on that, right? He had the theodolite half mile away over his little pond. Well, that's curvature right there.
Do you know who was the first to point that out? Back in 2015, long before we were talking about it, Jaron. And he made a really comical video with Jesse doing the observation you're describing. And he took Jesse's video, and where Jesse shows it dropping in the distance, he says, because of, Jesse does. And then Jaron put a cut in, and then black screened it with the massive word and him saying, perspective. And they cut back to the video. And yeah, so Jaron was way ahead of the curve in that regard. You know, he knew that they'd hijacked perspective from the outset.
In 2015.
Yeah.
He couldn't have in 2015. It wasn't done.
Jesse
it
wasn't
wasn't
out
done
here
in
in
2016.
2016 then.
Jesse was here in 2016?
Whenever that observation was first done, which is about 2016. I mean, I'm saying that. Maybe it's bloody 2019 for all I care. It doesn't
No,
matter.
it's 2016, Nathan. It was 2016. Because I addressed them on that back in 2016. And so did Quantum
It's
Eraser.
not really crucial to my pointing out that Jaron was way ahead of us in this regard, is it? Let's be honest.
That's fine. No, I have no issue with that. No.
But we all three of us stated the same thing to him. Like, I know that both me and QE both asked him about, have you taken angular size change into account? Do you know what I mean? He had nothing for that. And perspective is, angular size change is perspective.
Whoever caught on to it first, whatever, it's like, well, duh, right? Incoherent second graders, no, it's self-evident. And they act like geodesy is some type of discipline and shit. That's the real belly laugher. Get one of them idiot geodesists on here, man. It'll be a hoot.
Careful how you phrase these things, because you make me feel stupid when you say things like that. Because no, you might say that, but no, I didn't even recognise it after he'd said it. After it was pointed out to me to Jaron, I still didn't digest it in a way that would mean I could coherently debunk the point if someone put it to me at that particular stage of hearing the information. And it wasn't even me that recognised it, it was someone else. So you might say incoherent second grader level. Okay, well, that makes me feel pretty thick. Because there's a lot of things that have... Go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
There's a lot of things that have taken me a while to twig. And you know this personally, because when you were teaching me all of this stuff, I'm like, yeah, you've got to repeat this to me at least 10 times for it will sink into the point where I can effectively use it. So it might be obvious to you, but I'm sure it isn't. I wouldn't have a show if it was, because everyone would just be walking around going, yeah, of course. Obviously, the hijack perspective. Yeah. Obviously, we're on a bloody globe. We measure it flat.
Wait a second.
Keep coming up.
No, let's wait. No, I was next.
All right.
He's talking to me.
I don't mind who I was talking to, really.
No, come on. No, what I'm saying here is that angular size change, a second grader might not know what it actually, the nomenclature is, but everyone knows the further something gets away from you, including, let me go down to first grade. We can go even to preschoolers. When the shit starts getting away from you, it gets smaller. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nathan,
not only that,
Nathan is not.
It alters its location in your field of view on the Y or Z axis or X axis.
Yeah, so
Phil,
Nathan, you knew.
No, I just feel you're undermining the majority of the Western world with these sorts of statements.
Come on.
No, Nathan, you're getting something. You're missing something. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You weren't out claiming it was something it wasn't.
Sorry, what's a nomenclature?
Earth curve.
The official name of something.
I was joking. I was pretending to be dumb. Forget it.
It's all right not to know
on that
what it
level.
is, but
Absolutely.
You're
troubled.
roboting. You're roboting. All right. So Nathan, do you follow me on that sense? I didn't mean. And by the way,
you can
when we
you
are
can
going
break
through
down
all these little classes
okay,
and stuff.
Let me re-qualify
Hold
what
on
I
a
mean.
second.
You go first.
What are you over talking me for?
Because I've got a point to make. I'm sorry. I said you go first.
Yeah. I'm losing my train of thought. Now, as you were going back, you kind of embellished, when we were going through a little education process. I didn't have to tell you things 10 times, sir.
Yeah, you did.
No, I did not. Now, maybe on a couple, complex things, maybe.
Oh, check it out. Kiwi's proud of me and wants to garnish the truth with something less than truthful. Oh, I'm sweet.
No,
I'm flattered.
Yeah, you're embellishing that.
You just disclaimed. I'll forget it. Right, I'm not going to labour this point, right? Because it would be self-deprecation at this point. But I'll just reiterate the reason I've said that. Okay. Yes, on one level, I agree with you, right? I can easily dig out a Father Ted comparison to make your point perfectly, right? These cows are far away. Yeah, you're right. But by the same token, if you were really right, the Western world wouldn't have been duped by it, would they? So you must accept that to appreciate it after the fact is a bit like gas pressure without a container for you. You do kind of stand back from it and go, bloody hell, I have to appreciate how stupid I've been because I can now dumb it down to the Father Ted level. But prior to that point, you didn't and you hadn't. Now, you being me in this example, when I say, well, you know, careful how you phrase it, because we were all ballers at one point. Now, I've spun it into an example that will hopefully, you know, I'm not trying to stab you between the ribs with that example. I'm just trying to give you a comparison to make it make sense why I would say that.
Yeah, but people aren't stupid. They just didn't look. As in my particular case, I don't know if you'd call that stupid. I just wasn't. I just didn't place
That's
it.
no excuse. Okay, if you can't find your car keys and they're on the middle of the coffee table and you spend an hour looking for them and miss the concert, and then you find them on the middle of the table somewhere really obvious, in plain view, because there's nothing else on the table, right?
No excuse.
You can't say,
Should have figured that out.
I wasn't looking there. I wasn't looking for them there, right?
We're talking about QE here.
The fact that you didn't look and you weren't knowing to look doesn't mean that when you realise something so abundantly obvious, second grade level as you phrased it, you don't automatically go, I should have realised that. No, I feel dumb. I think that's the main reason, that's why I'm focused on this, that we have anti-flat earthers in the first place. Because that moment that I'm describing, and I've related it back to a moment that you can think back on how you felt about it, that in that moment is the probable reason, in my view, that the anti-flat earthers, through lack of pride, go, I'm not having that. I'm not, no. I wasn't so stupid as to be duped by this. No. The flat earthers need attacking. Or whatever they use as an outlet. I'm earning loads of money. whatever they share their pain with.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's stupid, though. It just depends on how you define stupid. I just didn't look. Right, the keys that were on the table, I wasn't looking.
Wow, that worked better than I expected. So we've gone from you saying how stupid, second grade level, blah, 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 to when I relate it with an example with you in it, suddenly it's, no, it's not being stupid. Wow, that worked much better than I expected.
Yeah, it's not being stupid at all, right? I'm relating it not to the keys. However, I did try to find my glasses on many of occasions with them on my face. But we won't go into that. I'm relating it back to the fact of gas pressure without a container. So that immediately drags me back there, right? And it took somebody saying it, right? Because I knew all those facts, back and forth. I just never applied it to that specific context. Follow?
Yeah, I understand your point, but I'm contrasting that with you saying they should have seen it. It's second grade level stuff. And I'm like, careful what you say, because you're going to get people who, or maybe are on the fence or have just fallen off it, that are in that moment when they're going, God, I feel really stupid.
But there's something you're forgetting here, Nathan.
Hold on. This is getting all convoluted in the application of it. Now, everyone knows as a second grader that shit shrinks with distance. Everyone knows that. But it's the application of that in a specific context that is in question here. I didn't have to explain it to you, right, about angular size change with distance. You already knew that. But once you applied it to that specific context, then the bells and whistles went off. Good?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, but look what that
opened up.
Hold on, Neil. Go ahead, Brian. You've been trying to get a word in for a couple of minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, you have to take the two things we're talking about here and reference them separately. Gas pressure without a container, completely changing a whole worldview. Somebody could look past that after years and years and years of indoctrination. But if you looked at the opposite side of that little half-a-mile lake that Jesse was on, and saw that the theodolite on the other side, looks smaller, or it appears to be looking over the top of it, you're not going to think that's our curve. If you're a normal everyday person, you're not. You're not going to think that. You're just going to think it's just an optical effect. Because most people think that they're on a globe, but they think the globe is massive. And that's why they can never see the Earth curve. They think it's too big to see the Earth curve. They don't understand.
But he was indoctrinated to envisage it without the perspective considered at all. So when he described it, it's like, it's dropped. It's lower.
Yeah, but QE's point is that this is somebody who is a professional at their job, and they're claiming something is our curve when he didn't even have his maths right for it being our curve. There was only supposed to be like 2 inches of our curve when there was like 8 inches. He was 8 inches above the thing. You know, there was no, it was just a baseless claim based on a belief. You know, oh, well, that's kind of a contradiction. A baseless claim based on a stupid claim based on his belief. He put no thought or logic into it. He was just using the fact that he's a surveyor and that's what he believes, so that must be true. That was the problem with that.
My moment. Is that my moment to round out the show? Seems so. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.